Okay, so this is being recorded. I just hit record to officially begin. Congratulations. If you're here, that means you have made it into Pratt's flagship entrepreneurship program. That's a big deal. Congratulations to all of you. We're extremely excited to work with you. And so we just want to begin by first introducing ourselves so you know who we are and a little bit just about our background. And then we'll just do a brief overview of the program before you have 1 minute to introduce yourself and talk about your idea and what you hope to get out of the program. So in the chat, I put the three things that we're hoping, sorry, probably like 95% of you just heard me say this, but the three things that we're hoping that you say. And of course, if you have any preferences for pronoun or also names that you like, just include that as well, of course. So my name is Carl Fengler, and I'm Associate Director of Career Development at CCPD, which is Pratt's Career Center. So I oversee career counseling. I have a background in clinical psychology. Before that, I did professional acting, and I combine those things to help people basically succeed at what they want to do, whether it's like interviewing or whatever. And we started out this program because there was a real need. This is its 6th year. There was a real need for all these brilliant Pratt students to not only learn how to be amazing creators and designers, but also like how to actually be business people and to know how to actualize their own idea. And then that leads me to my partner in crime, Peter, who I could not have found a better partner to run this program with. Peter, take it away.
Hi guys, I'm Peter Raganetti. I'm a professor at Pratt. I've been a professor at Pratt for almost 10 years now. I've always thought, that Pratt has a lot of entrepreneurial people and really good ideas. So I've been sort of working on the entrepreneurship part of Pratt for a really long time. I come out of the industrial design department. I studied industrial design. I've spent 20 years designing products, helping bring products to market, helping bring companies to market. But really over the last 8 years, my consultancy has worked with lots of different small startups to medium startups to getting their ideas launched. At Pratt, I launched a crowdfunding course where students were able to bring products to market. You'll meet one of them as our speaker today. And then I also been part of the entrepreneurship minor at Pratt, which if you don't know, we have a minor for undergrads around entrepreneurship, and I teach the intro to that, which is called entrepreneurial mindset, I believe. And I'm here to sort of help guide you guys and give you all the tools you need to have a successful pitch at the end of the program. So today we're going to be asking you to give us an elevator pitch, which is sort of like a very fast 1-minute pitch of your idea. I know there's a lot of us, and it's gonna, we're gonna be holding you to a tight 1 minute because we have a lot of us, and there's a lot to get through today. So I'm really excited to have you guys. We've had a lot of great success out of this program, so this should be fun for all of us.
Great, and Os.
Yeah, I'm Os. I think some of you know me. For those who don't, I am the graduate assistant for this program. Excited to be here. I'm a graduate student in the design management program currently. I studied business in undergrad, and interestingly enough, I did a very similar program back in my senior year, and now I'm on the other side of the table. So it's kind of fun to be here, and I'm excited to hear all of your ideas and work together moving forward.
Great, and we definitely appreciate you because you've been so instrumental in communicating and making sure people know like when and where to be and coordinating all that important communication. So thank you for that. And welcome again, everyone. So basically, does anyone have any questions about the program? It's basically structured about approximately, sometimes we had to move things around because of like vacations or holidays, but it's structured so it's about every 3 weeks. There's a session just like this on Thursday night from 5 to 8. Each session builds on the other, right? So the first one might be like ideation, the second one might be understanding your market, all those kinds of, they build until you really have a very holistic understanding of how to run a business. And they're all virtual. There's 3 this semester, and then there's 4 next semester, and then there's the pitch on April 22nd, and that's the only one that's actually in person. But you can also probably figure out ways to meet up with us if you want on campus. Peter's on campus, I think, at like Tuesday nights on the Brooklyn campus. I'm on Brooklyn some Wednesdays and on PMC some Thursdays, so we can do that as well. Or you can always make Zoom appointments with us. We're here to support you. And the best part is that when you're successful, we're all successful. So we're in this like mutually beneficial arrangement here. So we're rooting for each other. So even though it ends with an in-person pitch competition, it's really not about like, can you beat out someone? Is someone going to steal your ideas? It's honestly like, these are your peers and your teammates, and it's just trying to make everybody better. And so that's what we look for in the people when we're even vetting you guys. So anyways, are there any questions given that kind of basic structure and outline? Pretty straightforward.
I have a question,
Yeah.
not necessarily about the entire curriculum, but just about the introduction you mentioned.
Yeah.
You said we have 1 minute each. Is that just for the introduction, or does that include the elevator pitch?
So you have an introduction and then you have your elevator pitch. So you can take 30 seconds to introduce yourself. If you have teammates, make sure you introduce your teammates so you guys can message between each other to say, hey, I'll say who we are, and then identify who your teammates are so O's can make a note of it. And then when you're ready, be like, and now here's my pitch. And then we're going to put you on the clock.
I see.
I also want to say what Carl said, how to run a business. We're not necessarily teach you how to run a business. We're going to teach you the basics of how to test a business idea and potentially launch it. Running a business becomes a little bit broader of a conversation, but this is a great place to bring ideas that you think are good business ideas and to go through a lot of different assignments and hear speakers and then sort of push them through a funnel to see if at the end it's actually a business worth your time to start, which is a really important thing that I think a lot of people have great business ideas, but they don't ever vet them against the serious criteria. And the criteria that we've established is a pretty well-adjusted, good theory of business criteria that when you're done with this, you'll know this is a great idea and I should move forward with it, or you'll say, maybe I need to tweak it or adjust it or give it a year to work on something else. And we're here to sort of give you that direction as well.
Peter, I'm so glad you said that. Thank you so much for the clarification. And yeah, this is definitely more of an incubator than an accelerator. And at the end of the day, like it's about the most important thing we're hoping for. I've told this to a few of you that checked in with me when you were applying. We're looking for people that are going to stick with the program. So even if you're like, oh, my idea, I don't know if it's that great, do what you can to stick with the program to make it through so you pitch something and you get that full experience. And also, I think I didn't mention, you get a certificate of completion. And so it is, obviously it's not a matriculated class, you're not doing it for credit, but it is like a professional development class. So it's something you can put on your resume for sure. All right, with that said, shall we start, Peter?
Yeah, I think it's great. So, I mean, do we just want to go? I mean, I don't know. Like,
this is what we did last time. Sorry, Peter, for interrupting you. Everyone put their team name in the chat in the order that you want to speak. So everyone just start doing it now, and whoever is brave and feels like going first, go for it. Everyone else follow. You're all going to have to speak at some point. And that will be the order that we speak in.
Okay. So we have our first one. Highwind, Joe team, would you like to start?
Oh, yes. Actually, I have a teammate, Singer.
Okay.
Yes.
I have both of you noted. Great.
We are the industrial student from Pratt, and we both are graduate student already, final year. And we noticed there's a gap or barrier in the market between kids and local great art and industries. So in our business idea, we want to, on the one hand, is to promote this great art and industries and provide our kids really a good opportunity to learn from this experience, outdoor experience. And on the other hand, we hope our business can also help the local art and industry. And our clients will be the educational companies. So it's our 2B concept, it's not 2C concept. Yes. And our purpose, the aim, the mission is to help them have a much more efficient business with our help.
Okay,
Yes.
so just to help dissect it, so connecting, when you say kids, you mean children, right?
We mean primary school kids. Yes.
And connecting them with different
Local
opportunities
arts
for
and
arts
industries.
and industries. Okay,
Yes.
Carl, do you have any
And
questions?
we tend to start off business by developing some very good quality education package, supplying to our clients those educational business. Yes.
Ray, I mean, I have, there's so many questions I want to ask, like how do you vet the businesses and like what inspired you, but we don't have time for that. But
yeah, I know. We will know in the
yeah,
future.
but I'm looking forward to learning more about it. And I also want to congratulate you for being the first person to volunteer to go. Thank you. That takes courage. And it's
Yes, I just typed too fast, I think.
Well, thank you. And
Thank
let's see. Who's next?
Evoke.
Got Evoke.
Hi everyone. So my name is Nivedita. I would prefer if everyone call me Niv because it's a lot easier. So I applied for this along with my team. We have Monica here and Akanksha. And
Welcome. Nice to see you.
And essentially, our idea is about tackling the food waste problem at the household level. And I mean, I'm just gonna explain the entire concept during the elevator pitch. I'm just gonna go ahead and say why we're really invested in this particular program is because we do really believe in this idea and we think that it's a real problem right now that people aren't paying enough attention to. And the purpose of this project is essentially to kind of give us a push and really, put us in that area to work on it. And also we're hoping for like harsh feedback. Let us know if this doesn't work or, it doesn't make sense or something's wrong. So essentially we're just looking for some critique.
Okay, so tell us a little more about food waste at the household level. So what's the benefit for the customer? What is the value proposition? What in your mind, how does this work?
Okay, so from our research, what we found is that a lot of Americans don't realize how much money they're throwing away with all of their groceries. In general, in a year, we lose around $144 million just on food waste. And our purpose is, what if we could redirect that money to do some better good? There's so many people that's suffering with food insecurity. There's so many people that need access to other things. So instead of wasting this money away, we want to direct it towards something good.
Okay. I got to say, Carl, I'll let you speak in a second. I think it's a great idea. I think food waste is a huge issue. I've thought about this and worked on startups around this a few times. So welcome to the program, and I can't wait to hear how you grow the idea.
Thank
I
you.
love it too. The only thing I would be curious about is like how you've mapped out your competition and how you've created distinction from that competition, because it might be a crowded space, from my understanding. And so that would be the one I'd want to drill down on to begin with. But I think it's great. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Street Lizard.
My name's Seppi. I'm from California, like Northern California, and I just make my own clothes. Like I make everything, like bags, clothes, like hats. Like I make a lot of I wanted to make like a sink. I just make a lot of products that I can't market really. Like I don't have the skills to market them at all anymore or yet. And yeah, I thought this program would be a good gateway into learning how.
So you essentially you want to bring products to market, create a brand, and sell
Yeah.
your products through the brand.
Yes.
Very straightforward and very much what I do as a profession.
I was about to say,
Sweet.
Peter, this is right up your alley.
Sweet.
Carl, do you have any comments?
No, I mean, I think it's just like, I think you're going to love Ray on session 3 when he really does a deep dive into brand, because that's when you can really develop like how you you distinguish yourself. And I think you're going to really get a lot out of that. You're going to get a lot out of all the sessions, but I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I also think from the perspective of like cost of goods, how to get something made, how to evaluate what you're bringing to market, what it's going to cost you to make, what it's going to cost you to sell, or what you're going to sell it at, and then like how to figure out what is your first line you want to launch.
Yeah.
whether it's clothing, or it sounds like you have a lot of ideas. So we're
Yeah.
going to sort of drill you down to a very MVP small launch, and then take it from there.
Sweet. That sounds awesome.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, Finn Evans, Jump Digest.
Hello, everyone. My name is Finn. I'm from Colorado Springs, Colorado. I'm doing associate's graphic design at Pratt Manhattan campus, and I want to create a parkour magazine. Most people, when they hear of parkour, they think of The Office, crazy people jumping off of buildings, landing on things, nearly knocking others in the face. But parkour is so much more than that. It's an extreme sport that is very new, creating a culture of essentially artwork involving applying movement skills to mundane environments to create something beautiful. And there's a lot behind that I want to showcase, capture, and most importantly, share. My idea is to create a magazine that is online, digital, and print. So it is making parkour accessible to more people to show its true nature.
Cool. So you wanted online, digital, print, and you want to focus on the European, American, the whole world. Like, what would be your initial market?
Probably American to start with, because that would be easiest to involve myself with and gain interviews from people who speak the same language and are around me. But eventually I want to branch out worldwide, and the short, like 5-year plan would be to establish a strong presence in the parkour community and start branching out into the extreme sports community, because that's really the target audience, people who are involved with parkour, but extreme sports as well.
Cool. Carl?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, do you have like a blue sky vision? Because, is this like, if you were to like develop this further, would it stay always a magazine? Are you thinking like longer term, you're starting with the magazine because that's something manageable, and then eventually this would morph into something else?
I think that it would start as the magazine, yes, and it morph into more of like a hub for parkour culture, kind of like how Thrasher is the skateboarding mecca.
Yeah, that's literally what it was. That's what I was thinking about, that kind of parallel. Okay, great. Like maybe,
it's about community building.
Yes.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Great.
Yeah, magazines are easy to get made, to get following is about building that community, speaking to that community, creating that crowd. So very cool. I'm also a Coloradan, so welcome.
Nice. Oh, awesome. Sweet. Thank you.
All right, welcome. So next is Let's Heal.
Hi everyone. My name is Sarah. I'm a graduate student at Information Experience Design Program at Pratt Manhattan, and my product is Let's Heal, which is essentially the problem that I was facing was how to deal with grief. And I realized that in our society, we don't have the proper education or emotional intelligence to deal with people who are experiencing grief, or whether being their support system or the person itself. So my idea is to have a platform where it kind of gives opportunities for people to connect with each other, as well as connect with kind of gaining perspective from different talks or different literature that has been out there about grief, and mostly focused on in the companies, because what I've realized is that the average HR policy for time off or the death of a person is 4 days, which is not enough for the person to actually go back to work. So this product can be offered as a part of a package to companies as a way for their employees to like support themselves.
So the MVP is some sort of program and package and literature that you sell to a company to help companies. So it's B2B, you sell to a company and they can then institute it in as policy for HR or whatever.
Yes.
Okay, Carl?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about this a little bit. The main thing would be looking at other already existing platforms. I'm going to sound like a broken record. So understanding it's a saturated landscape, and there's like, tangential, programs like BetterHelp and, stuff like that. And so just taking that in mind and being really mindful about how you're creating distinction. And if someone asks you directly, like, how is this different than that, then being able to answer that, but definite need for it.
Very nice, welcome. Next is Crew.
Hi.
Am I saying that right? Hi.
My name is Ray. My background is in architecture at Pratt. This is a little bit of a divergent from architecture, but I think it's a fun idea that I really got interested in. So I guess the elevator pitch is to utilize the collectible toy industry to explore the concept of opposed opposites and meshing them together. So as fashion continues to become like more and more fleeting, seasons and shows come and go so quickly, and access to viewing these fashion industry moments is continuing to widen with like live streaming. People around the world tune in to watch these mega fashion houses. And so many of the fashion pieces resonate with viewers, but in the nature of high fashion, they're so unattainable. So the hope would be to interpret fashion pieces into collectible toys that people can collect. So it can expand the market of fashion collectors, but also create like a monument or like a piece to respect and celebrate the fashion, which can like add longevity to it instead of it becoming like a piece of fabric that goes in the closet or then the garbage. It's something that's like monumentalized and becomes more permanent.
I mean, I have some questions about like how we execute this. Like when you say collectible toys, how's it made? When we break it down to the actual like the physical good you are selling, and then how you get those partnerships to get the licenses to sell them. But MoMA sells mini chairs of every famous designer. So there's mini architecture. So there's absolutely no reason that mini fashion couldn't exist. But I almost would say is maybe it's like little flats or something that are framed, rather than a physical 3D object that goes on a shelf. But I think there's a lot of different ways you can crack it. And I do think there is something to it.
Awesome.
Great. All right. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
You have anything to suggest? Carl?
Me? I'm afraid I always sound like a broken record. I'm always curious about like what came up. I'll just ask you directly then, what came up when you're like investigating who's already doing this idea or similar idea?
I think it's interesting because there's not much there's not many competitors that are meshing the two worlds, like fashion and collectible pieces. It's more like the cause, the Bear Brick, that are like collectible pieces that are like high fashion, but they're not really fashion. They're just like a toy.
Yeah. I mean, I think the next assignment's going to be doing a really big market dive, and that's going to help a lot as well. But very cool idea. So nice job.
Thank you.
All right, Baddison and Mia.
Hello, I'll start off by introducing myself. I'm Baddison Kubek. I graduated from Pratt Industrial Design at spring 2021, and I'm currently located in Vienna working on another startup, so it's quite late here. But I'm excited to be here, and maybe I'll let Mia introduce herself before we jump into the idea.
I'm Mia. I graduated from the Industrial Design program in 2020, and I am still residing in Brooklyn. And to our idea.
So me and Mia actually had a little small business going while I was still in New York, and we got a great response to it. And we kind of had two branches we saw moving from there. So we actually have two pitches prepared. I'm not sure if we can present both if we have the time. We can just do one.
Go. Don't ask, just go.
Okay. Mia, you ready?
Try and do it in a minute if you can.
Yeah, go
Okay,
quick.
starting off with Dear Creators, our first pitch. And this is our Shark Tank moment. So, have you ever struggled with making connections that lead to collaborative or paid opportunities as an artist?
We certainly have. Especially after graduating during a pandemic, social media has been pushing creatives back into the shadows, while their algorithms push businesses and brands to the top of everyone's feed.
Therefore, we are creating a platform for creatives by creatives. This subscription-based platform is the ultimate creatives networking and connection space, as we all know that LinkedIn was really designed for the 9-to-5 professionals in non-creative fields. In our community, Dear Creators, all you have to do is tap into the profile of someone who inspires you to not only see their portfolios, but also to sign up for the events they're hosting, purchase their services, and even apply to possible gigs that they're hiring for.
It's basically the perfect hybrid of Instagram, Fiverr, LinkedIn, and Meetup. Join in our journey to start another renaissance following the pandemic.
Okay.
Great.
What's the
All
next
right.
one?
Hold on. Can I just jump in on that real quick?
Yes, please.
One feedback, because it's been striking me a lot. When people, other 9-to-5ers, as if they're lame or boomers or whatever, like, I gotta say, don't do that, because what you're doing is you're alienating people, and not every person that has a 9-to-5 job is lame and uncreative. So I just have to say that, because you go, not just a 9-to-5, you know? And so I get what you're saying. I've been a professional actor and freelancer and all that. But I think that's one thing is I don't think you don't ever want to put someone down to elevate something, you know?
Mhm.
So I just had to give that feedback. Otherwise, your pitch was amazing, literally. And just as someone who's done professional acting, you guys were nailing it. I just had to point that one thing out.
Thank you.
All right, what's
And
the
I
second idea?
completely
Fast.
understand the point. The second idea is the Creative Haven, which is a physical space. I'll take it off. Have you ever tapped into what your inner child is yearning for and used that creativity in a collaborative environment?
As a former art school student, I think back to all the resources I was offered during my enrollment, and I wish I had more time to explore the mediums and practices, as well as have access to a studio space I can use in my post-grad life.
Therefore, we believe creating this opportunity in the heart of Brooklyn is the ultimate way to keep artists connected and thriving. Not only would the Creative Haven act as a place for artists and craftsmen to excel in their skills, but also a place for the amateur artists to explore a new hobby or passion.
We envision the Creative Haven having a coffee shop as the entrance with a creative co-working space adjacent to it. On each level of the building, you could find different studios from woodworking and ceramics to computer labs with access to softwares.
Accessible to everyone through a monthly or yearly membership, we would also be offering open studio hours as well as classes. Who is excited to never stop learning?
Very nice. There's a lot of competitors in this space. I mean, I've worked with a bunch of them, but we'll let you guys go do your competitive research and then decide which one you think is a better idea.
Yes, we will unpack that.
Yeah.
Am I getting it right? It's sort of like WeWork, but like a different variant of that? Okay.
Exactly.
Watch that documentary if you haven't already.
All right, very nice. You guys have some great ideas to move forward with. Good job. Thank you.
And you guys are really prepared. That was awesome. Like, that was really, really, I can't believe you came out of the gates with that. So excellent job. It really showed. You guys were great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
All right, Sean Turner, AITG.
All right. Hi, my name is Sean. I'm from Philly. My idea is surrounded by active and in the gym clothing. So Artists in the Gym is the brand. So more often than not, the brands we see right now, I feel like they don't resonate with everyone. The stigma and social idea around it is that only bodybuilders wear it. This brand I'm creating, I want to kind of coincide with everyone. So more gender inclusive, religion inclusive, expression. Just for someone to feel like,
oh, I don't need to feel like I'm a bodybuilder to wear this. Whether it's Gymshark, Raw Gear, ASRV, stuff like that. I just want someone to feel like this is something they can wear outside, to show that they're a person that likes to be active, but also wear it in the gym to kind of feel like, you know what, I'm taking a step in initiative to create a better mental and physical health for myself. So that's my brand right now. I created a presentation because I didn't know if we had to like create for our pitch to create a presentation, but that's something I'll just do another time.
Yeah,
and
you're
build
gonna
off
have
of.
plenty of time for presentations. Are you a fashion major?
No, I'm a graphic design major.
Graphic design major. Okay. Yeah, I like the idea. I mean, fashion and any sort of clothing it's a brand game, and it's like creating a brand. And you know, you have high MOQs, medium order, minimum order quantities to get product made. So figuring out how to get something to market to test can be a little expensive. So, you know, cracking that sort of key will be super helpful, but we'll work you through that. Okay.
Yeah.
You're on mute, Carl.
Sorry. Same thing for any clothing company. I love it, and I love the idea. And it would be like trying to find that balance of if you want to, you know, focus on sustainability, if you want to focus on super soft and comfort, how much do you sacrifice, you know, then like going high in price and then pricing out of like certain markets. So it's finding that balance, you know. I think that's going to be it's going to be tricky, but also like a worthwhile venture.
Yeah, that's what I kind of already dove into just before we did, like when I was reading the syllabus, I was trying to see what different pricings for each clothing brand was. Just because if you see a lot of them, it's just a name and clothing, and like just
Exactly.
Raw Gear and just shirt for like $40. And I don't want that. I want it to be accessible for everyone,
That's
but also be expressive.
exactly I love that you're already doing the research. That's really great. Excellent work.
Cool. Welcome, man. Awesome. All right. PTS Beats.
Hi. So I can't turn my camera on because I just got my wisdom teeth removed.
Oh, are you able to talk?
Yeah, I'm okay to talk now. The medicine's kicking in, but I'm Alia. I'm a first year graduate student in data analytics and visualization in the Pratt Manhattan campus. And here's my elevator pitch. The impact of PTSD can be lifelong and debilitating. Mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, is an alternative intervention that could ease the emotional and physical distress of PTSD. PTSD is a mobile app that will teach MBSR to target users, including anyone suffering from PTSD, and allow them to track their progress. The app will be built using a platform such as ResearchKit to conduct large-scale research studies by collecting data on the impact of MBSR on PTSD symptomology. Researchers in the field would have the opportunity to connect with participants for remote interviews or recruitment for lab-based studies. PTSD also aims to create a sense of community where users feel heard and safe. For example, a map feature will allow users to anonymously mark and find unsafe locations to walk alone, as well as potential triggers. This app would use a subscription-based model with premium features, crowdfunding, and potential grant funding through the National Institute of Mental Health. The MVP would be a prototype of the app with its core features, including the MBSR course and PTSD symptom trackers.
Cool.
Great.
That's a lot. All right, Carl.
Thank you, Os, for keeping us honest with the time. I appreciate that. Alia, we spoke about this. I love your idea. I think MBSR, mindful-based harm reduction, for those of you that don't know it, always say out the abbreviation or the acronym, and just assume people don't know it. Okay, someone needs help with a password apparently for Zoom. So.
Yeah, I mean, my only comment was I did not know what MBSR meant, and I literally had to look it up.
Yeah, so it's mindful-based stress reduction.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, sorry, I mentioned it in the beginning. Yeah, I mentioned it in the beginning, but I'm like mumbling a little bit. I apologize.
No, it's all right. Yeah,
you're doing great considering you're on heavy drugs and got some teeth removed. So I thought I was gonna have to read for you, but yeah, the other thing I was going to say is there's someone else doing a similar type of idea. And so I hope that you two at some point can join forces and even just supporting each other, you know, because I know they're not the exact same idea, but it'd be nice that you both have similar interests and want to do this helpful work.
Yeah, my only comment is, and this is for anybody who wants to build an app, is like apps can be really expensive to build. So it's like, how do you test it without spending all the money? And this is where like lean startup principles and like really like, you can do a lot with just interviews and sort of before you start building anything. Because the whole theory of if you build it, they will come is a way to waste a lot of money before really knowing what your target audience wants. So we'll talk about that a little more throughout the program for anyone who's building digital products. But I think it's a great idea. And I think it's just like drilling down on like who your first adopters are going to be and what they're really looking for and how do you provide that for them.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Great. Next is Cafe Le Soir. Penny?
Yeah, okay.
You can repronounce it, my fault.
You're fine. Hi, my name is Penny, and hey, Carl again from CCPD. I'm a recent graduate from Pratt with a ComD major and a social justice, social practice minor. And my partner Helen, she cannot be with us today, but she also has the same ComD graduate degree as me. And okay, I'm ready for the pitch. So the business idea is called Cafe Le Soir, or Coffee House in the Evening. The name is inspired by one of Vincent van Gogh's paintings. And it is essentially a night cafe that opens during after hours from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m., providing a quiet and atmospheric space for night owls to just hang out with friends, get their work done, and enjoy the night without having to consume alcohol, which is kind of the usual New York night scene. And unlike other new cafe openings, we hope to establish agreements with existing local coffee shops to perhaps cooperate, but certainly reuse their urban space during their after hours while the store simply remains empty. We try to generate revenue by customers ordering food and coffee, just like any other coffee shop, and we target students, professionals, freelancers who have flexible hours. And our minimum viable product launch would be to rent a space in Brooklyn with food and coffee for our design hours and see how many people would turn up. So it is, in one sentence, it's a night cafe that reimagines urban space.
Okay. Any brick and mortar is always just a little tough in New York because of rents and all that. But the idea of partnering with existing shops that don't want to be open all night, if you can get an owner that's comfortable letting you in there to do it, it's that's a great opportunity. I definitely think for MVPs, pop-ups, testing, making sure people want this is great. There's also just like the safety issues of having things open really late at night because you never know who's going to walk in. So, I think it's a good idea. I just think that you have a lot of things to tackle and insurance and rent, and every commercial rent in New York is 10 years minimum. So like there's all these other things that we'll talk about in this process. But Carl.
Sorry, I'm answering the chat. I apologize. I love the idea, and it's nice to see you again. I'm so glad you could be part of the program. I was super excited when I saw your application. Yeah, I just think it's a great idea, and I'm a broken record, but basically, I'd be curious about your research about, how others are doing this space, and whenever it's brick and mortar, then I always wonder can you go digital in some way? Can you adapt? If something else like COVID happened.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you and welcome.
Next is Mark Making Production, Frost Martin.
Hi, my name is Frost Martin, and I'm a film BFA at Pratt Institute in Brooklyn. And my pitch is Mark Making Productions. So, all right. So when was the last time that you went to a movie theater to watch a documentary film? And when was the last time that you watched a film and were inspired to change an aspect of your lifestyle, developed an idea, or learned something new which has stayed with you to this day? Global statistics on Google show that in 2022, translate was the 7th most searched word. Misinformation today spreads rampant, and the way that we communicate on a global scale, especially coming out of the pandemic, has become extremely weak. And one of the main reasons is because we don't communicate. And on top of that, we don't know enough about each other. So what Mark Making Productions is a documentary film house located in 3 different locations globally, and in 3 different time zones, so that we can produce around the clock, working in harmony with global agendas. And basically, we would target pretty much everyone on the industry level on a large macro and micro scale. But the kind of initiative of Mark Making Productions is specifically targeted towards documentary filmmaking and nonprofit organizations, which would be like a typical kind of like a freelance film production effort. And so ideally targeting younger people in order to foster a progressive global mindset and harbor ideas which can help build a more conscious society in which we are working towards building more sustainable lives. And so, yeah, so at the moment, this is just myself. I recently, within the last year, launched Frost Martin Media Productions, which is my name, which is a freelance film and media production company. I currently do not employ anyone, but this is where my interest resides, is how do you employ people and how do you do that on a global scale? So yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know a lot about this. I don't know a lot about filmmaking and production. I know a little bit because of friends, but you know, we'll offer you as much information. Carl probably knows way more about this since he was an actor. So what do you think, Carl?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to like, you know, how you're generating profit and like, you know, are you looking to, you know, turn into a subscription model, or are you looking to turn in like a brick and mortar with physical tickets, you know, like, so, you know, I'm interested in how you're structuring the idea, and also, you know, yeah, how much you know about like pricing, all the costs and stuff like that. So it's really just an idea of that, basically. And so you can create your price structure.
Yeah. Welcome.
I also like the way you ask questions, by the way. I love when you introduce something by asking questions, because it makes me think, when was the last time I did that? So I think that's a great technique.
And I will say, since you already started a business, you're already a little further ahead.
Yeah, it's an LLC.
Hey, that's great.
But
LLCs are great. I have like 6 of them. All right. Dot Studio.
Okay, hi. Hi, I'm Parisha. I'm a student at Manhattan campus. I'm a graduate student studying design management. So my first question is, how fast can you choose a furniture piece? Or when you simply put a layout of your bedroom, how fast could you design it? So let me guess, it wasn't that quick, but I'll help you with this. So I want to start with an interior design studio where I can use user experience and AI to reduce the optimum time used in selecting the pieces and creating a layout of your place. So basically the thing is that in construction and interior design, there's a lot of time commitment required, not only while building it, but even while starting it from the scratch, while researching it. So I really want to reduce that. And it is more important because we as an industry usually charge fair on the basis of the time or the hours that are used in. So it benefits not only the people who are working in it, but it should even benefit the people for whom we are working. And I want to introduce more of sustainability so that it benefits everyone.
Okay. I've seen versions of this idea a lot through my entrepreneurship class. And I know there's a lot of people trying to crack this code because like home renovations, home improvement, home interior design is like a huge market. And really it comes down to understanding really what your users want and not making assumptions. Because like when it comes down to like the couch I would pick versus everyone else on here is very different. And like, I think it's going to be your user feedback and understanding what's on the market, how you're different, and then how you're telling your users you're different. is going to give you a lot of insight to how you can grow this business. Carl?
No, it's nice to see you. I know a bunch of you, so it's nice to see friendly faces. So welcome, and I'm glad you're part of the program.
There you go. Next is
Bruce.
Bruce.
Hi, my name is Xu Zhang, and I prefer people call me Bruce. I'm a MFA second year. I'm in the painting program. I'm a painter. I also make printmaking, ceramics. I was an art teacher for a while. Here is my pitch. My name is Bruce Zhang. I'm a painter and a painting instructor. My idea is to create an art community with other artists, such as painters, printmakers, and sculptors. This art community will provide art experiences such as educational programs, workshops, studios, mentorships, and exhibitions to people with an interest in art. The ideal target customers will be people who are looking for longer-term, diverse art classes, but not necessarily want to make commitment in an art degree. I think my competitive advantage is my experience of working in a private art teaching institution. Being a professional painter and educator make me understand the needs of people who want to experience the lifestyle of an artist. Thank you.
Very nice. With any of these sort of like get people together and do things, you know, whether we look at it from the virtual product, digital product like Masterclass, or we look at it more from like, you know, those places where you can go paint ceramics in local neighborhoods. It's really understanding like how you can bring this to the market and test it without spending a lot of money. So, I mean, obviously, I think anytime we get more people exploring creativity, and I know we talked about this also with Creative Haven with Badison and Mia. You know, I have a friend who runs a business called Craftsman Avenue, and it's like people get to go do wood products and stuff like that. So there's a lot of interest in this and opportunity in this, and it's really about how you do it differently than what else is out there. Or if you just want to start a small business where you teach art, that also is totally cool. But it's like, are you designing something scalable? Or are you designing something just for yourself that you want to do? Carl?
Yeah, also exactly what Peter said. I was thinking about the scalability part. And then the other thing I was wondering is, where are you starting with? Like right now, do you already have a website with testimonials, or are you starting right from all of that from the very beginning?
Not yet. But scale-wise, I definitely want to create something bigger than what we see like in small studios.
Okay.
I want to make sure there's scale, there is diversity in classes that we offer. I'm even thinking about our art history class. I'm visioning something like a MFA program, but without all the effort goes into like
more affordable.
People have jobs, people have families. Imagine it like a short-term art program that provides you studios, mentors, exhibitions.
Great. All right, let's move on. We're not going to get through everyone before our speaker joins, so we'll pick up everyone at the other end, but Jeremy Sue.
Hello, so my name is Madhura and I'm representing my team Tiramisu. We have Bhagya and Sally from my team right now. We are design management students from the Pratt Manhattan campus, and we are essentially here to work on our capstone and just gain some additional thoughts from the presenters as well as all the alumni and students. So what are we really doing? Our project's name is Crush Me If You Can. And we are trying to streamline the bottle collection and the can collection process in New York. So just before we joined this meeting, we have also narrowed down further to look into Pratt. So our problem statement is as so. Pratt is currently facing a big issue of waste commingling in recycling bins. I'm sure we all have noticed there are no really recycling solutions at Pratt. All bins are mostly commingled and you can just throw trash in whichever bin. So we are looking into creating a process or a service or a product that sorts all the materials out, because all of these materials which we are considering, which are metal, glass, and plastic, are of high value when it comes to recycling. So that's a project in a nutshell.
Great. All right, so we might have, Peter, did we lose you for a second? Okay, so Peter might have to go. I think that's a great idea.
Sorry, I'm back. I'm just making sure my basement's not flooding.
All right, Peter, I'm just going to let you, since you're so good at this, just doing the questions. I'm not going to ask anything because I want to try and get through as many as we can.
Yeah, I think waste management, understanding waste, understanding how we divide waste, how we collect waste is a very important thing. It's just a really big challenge to solve. And I've had a lot of people bring some of these much larger things to different classes of mine. So, I mean, if you guys are doing it as your capstone, for your program, that gives you're gonna have a lot more resources to figure this out. So we'll be really curious to see what you come up with, and we're gonna give you the best business practices from pitching this as a business plan to carry that into your capstone project. Okay.
Just a few years ago, just to tell you, we actually had a company that had an interesting idea that had sorry about the siren, recyclable umbrellas, which was really interesting. So then they had to tackle the idea of like how to logistically put these umbrella drop-off points and that kind of stuff. So we can share with you what we learned from that experience. But thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Next up is Irene and Shane.
Hi, so my name is Irene and my partner is Sean. Do you want to say hi, Sean?
Hi, my name is Sean. I'm from my undergraduate degree is material science, and then I changed to interior design. So I think I'm quite good at material, and Irene's background is about finance. And Irene, keep going or?
Yeah. So we're both currently students from Master Interior Design program. And before I came to Pratt, I actually hold a BBA degree from University of Toronto, specialized in business management and finance. So I joined this program because I've always wanted to create my own company. And I believe through this program, I will gain more insights on how I can actually execute my business ideas. So we want to create an interior design firm that targets supporting commercial business success. After I studied interior design, I realized many interior designers have knowledge of art and design, but lack an understanding of business strategies. However, I believe interior design and business strategies are tied together, and interior design can be viewed as a part of the business strategy. It can not only attract new customers, but also creates customer loyalty and brings brand value. I believe with my business background, I am able to build an interior design firm that not only focuses on aesthetics, but also aims on promoting a business performance by analyzing the brands and marketing strategies before the design process.
Okay. I mean, design consultancy is something that I'm very familiar with, and I think there's a lot of opportunity in growing them. You know, the question from what we do in the program is when you pitch this, how is it scalable? Is it multinational? Is it, are you building it to be like Pentagram or Gensler or something like that? So obviously having a business background is going to give you a lot more resources in how you think about building it from a financial background. And then hopefully you have great designs and good client outreach as well. So welcome to the program.
Thank you.
I don't think Sean's joined us yet, so let's keep going until he does. He's normally a little late because he's running a business as well. So next up is Hui. I think I got that right. Yes.
And yes, you got that right. I'm a bachelor's fine art sculpture student. And my business idea is to create a website to sell my sculptures and ceramics. Everything on that I would be selling would be handmade. And I only sell like a limited amount of low-key business, but then exclusive products for each. Most of them will be like one of a kind. And if the website is successful, I plan on inviting the website and charge them a listing fee. And my ideal target customers are adults and maybe like students homes, but something that's still like usable. So I plan to start for the MVP launch. I plan to start with like these are some of the coasters that I want to start with. There's something that's usable and like really easy to make. And I can just like get a good gauge of like how many people are interested and like if the website.
Cool. So obviously, I think the fact that like you're thinking just beyond selling your own goods is really great. So for your MVP to launch with your own goods and try to see if you can build out a platform is very good. But in some ways, I would say just start a Shopify and sell your own goods. But we can talk through what that process is like, no matter what, and you can decide what you want to do with it. Okay, Carl, any comments?
No, I'm trying to keep quiet so that you guys can get through it because you always ask like the most salient ones anyways. Let's see, who do we got next?
We have, sorry, Sean has not joined, so we'll keep going. So the next is Aroma Studio.
Yes, that's us. Hi, I'm Yi, and my teammate Zi, she's also here, but like her signal is not really well, like she's commuting. But we both graduated from Pratt. She graduated the year before me, but I graduated this year, and I studied communication design, and her major was interior design. So our business idea, Aroma Studio, is we envision aromatherapy experience that invites city dwellers to slow down and relax by interacting with natural ingredients and immerse in the earthy scents they create. So we'll provide a space for our audience to not only be mindful of their emotions and relieve stress, but also cultivate a harmonious relationship with their surroundings through scent. And for competitive advantages, we see that currently on the market, there are a lot of like naturally scented products like candles or essential oils, but we want to emphasize the process of making itself as a healing journey by connecting with the earthy ingredients, understand them, and reflect on our well-being. And how the business will make money, we think that we'll sell naturally scented product or like scent making kits as a starting point. And eventually we hope to provide a therapeutic experience, maybe a pop-up experience, and eventually into a physical store for people to experience. And then for target customer, we think people who work in a city who want to take care of their mental health, who enjoy arts and craft or like doing yoga or meditation. And age is pretty flexible. We're thinking either like late 20s to 40 or something. And perhaps it's not a super high end thing, people who have like an average income in a city. And for MVP launch, we think that we'll create a e-commerce website along with some social media content, and then a pop-up event just to see if people would enjoy this kind of activity and what they want.
Great. I have some familiarity because I have Taiwanese friends that are very into doTERRA. So I'm sure you're familiar with that product line and stuff, essential oils product line. And, but doTERRA also combines the philosophy like of, homeopathic medicine and Eastern medicine and stuff. So is it basically, I'm just wondering how you create true distinction from a company like doTERRA. Is it like your price points?
I'm just looking doTERRA up. I don't think I'm very familiar, but thanks for sending the reference. I think what we are thinking is like a workshop sort of DIY experience. So what we want to emphasize, like we don't see a lot of DIY shops in the city comparing to like more of the Asian countries or like Asian cities. We do a lot of
this was specifically huge in Taiwan, like huge.
Yeah, I'll take a deeper look into it.
But it just reminded me of that. But it's obviously a good market too. Like there's a real desire for it.
I will say I also met someone recently who told me they were a scent artist, and like I was super intrigued by it. And she explained that she creates these experiences where people walk through like different scents and they try to create different emotions and they have colors involved. It was really intriguing to me because I'd never heard of it before. And I think she's at the New School Museum, and she has a residency. So you may want to explore what that is as well, because it was very new to me. I never heard of it. And she kind of walked me through that as well. So
there you go. Yeah, both Peter and I have like these like amazing associations already with your product. So you're off to a good start.
I think Sean just joined. Sean, are you there? I think I see you. Are you not in yet? Maybe not.
He did join. I think I see him.
Okay.
He's on mute.
Yeah, he's.
Hey,
Hey, buddy.
how's it going?
How's it going? We're just so we're just starting to get to know everyone in the cohort.
Oh,
And
cool.
we were waiting for you to join. So you know, I'm not sure how to introduce you because you do so many awesome things. But so we have a speaker every class, and I thought for this class, the first speaker to bring in would be someone who went to Pratt, who's built a business from Pratt, who's employing artists and designers and people and has created a startup, but also has a very diverse background in everything from digital products to physical products, and sort of let him sort of talk through what he's doing and how he's doing it. So you guys can kind of, you know, I think it's better to learn from people that are closer to you than from people that are further away. So I don't know what else to say, Sean. What else should I say about you?
I'm like one of your favorite students. I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but I hope it is.
I mean, you definitely are one I talk about quite often because I'm so proud and just so impressed with the business you built. So I think I gave you a little background on this. So, you know, this is Pratt's incubator. And there's former students, there's alumni, there's graduate students, and it's all sorts of ideas. It's services, it's brick and mortar, it's products. And really they're going to be going through a 7-session course for this semester and next semester. And at the end, they're going to have a live pitch competition in front of some judges, the same way I've done it with many other classes.
Cool.
And we bring in a speaker each class. And I think this class is sort of talk about like how you built an idea, how you grew that idea, and just sort of talking through like, what, I mean, are we in the original Woj studio right now?
This is the original studio space, yeah. Which is yeah, it's kind of like a closet. I think it's like meant to be a kid's room, but we sort of have it as like a closet. So yeah, this is like where it all where it all began.
So if you just want to kind of start, you know, walking through your, you know, how you know, starting from your undergrad into Pratt, into what you did at Pratt, and now what you're building.
Yeah, okay. I have this whole, sorry, I was like trying to fix my iPad because I had this whole thing like outline written out. So I'm more prepared for this one than I was for the last one, which I think is good. But I have a little presentation. I can pull it up, and then I figure
sure, yeah.
If there's any like questions or anything, then, you know, I'm happy to chat through everything. And it's been a while since I've done the like, can I, let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep, I got it.
Cool. So let's, yeah. Let's.
Yep. There we go. Slideshow. You're good to go.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm Sean. I founded a company called Woj. So I figured I'd just like give like a little brief background on the company and a little bit about me. And then I'll just like talk through kind of like how I got started and a little bit more into the details of like everything that I've done so far. So my company, Woj, we design and manufacture home goods out of our studio in Brooklyn. Most of the things that we make are utilizing 3D printers. We're the most well-known for the wavy lamp, which is this one. That's kind of the product that really kicked off Woj as a design studio. But the reality is it actually started in Peter's class way back when. We've been in operation for about like officially LLC'd for like 2 years. Now we have 4 different lamp designs, a line of ceramics and clocks, and a bunch of different products that are all produced in our studio. So we've sold products through retailers like Nordstrom, Essence, and Urban Outfitters. So it's pretty cool, I think. So just a little bit about me. I've always been like interested in entrepreneurship. Like when I was a kid, I made my family members pay for like a monthly newsletter that I wrote, which was terrible, but they paid for it. So, but if I fast forward a little bit, I studied psychology as an undergraduate. It was mostly because it gave me a lot of free time to work on little side projects, which were primarily like design, and like app ideas, like coding things. And so when I graduated, I like enrolled in a coding boot camp because I never had like really learned how to code. And so I ended up moving to the Bay Area and working for like a bunch of startups as an engineer. The thing about startups that I really liked was that you could, the idea at the time was that you could kind of just build a company with like a laptop and just some code. And so that was really exciting, but I was also working full time as just a regular software engineer at a larger company. And I started to get a little bit burnt out of looking at computers and just spending all my time on computers. So I was looking for a creative outlet that was a little bit more physical. So I started getting into like woodworking, and I had started working at a makerspace that had a bunch of like CNC tools, like a CNC router and laser cutters and stuff. So that all like amplified my interest in design. But the idea of like building concepts and ideas with a few tools was still like really intriguing to me. So I spent a lot of time trying to design things that were like that I could possibly sell. So there were some things that I was working on at the time that I CNC milled and laser cut. At work, I had transitioned from software engineer, mostly coding, to UX design. And I basically really wanted to fully make the leap into like physical product design. So I applied to grad school, and I got into Pratt, where I like ended up studying for 3 years. I graduated just last year, so it's still very near to me. So let's see, I kind of forgot what my slides were because they're all pictures. Anyways, so basically spent a lot of time working with CNC routers, and different, like basically computer control tools. And for me, that was like a way that I was thinking about manufacturing. I was like really interested in manufacturing in general. That's basically why I decided to go to Pratt. So, sorry, I lost my outline a little bit. So anyways, started going to Pratt, learning a lot of things about CNC milling, and 3D printing and stuff. So I finally got a 3D printer that worked. But I ended up taking Peter's class, and bringing to his class this design of a knife rack that I had worked on as a prototype that I had CNC milled. And so you can see here is the prototype. It was like wavy, which became sort of the like signature texture, I guess, of Wooge. So I had access to CNC tools at Pratt, and I also had my own small CNC. So I wanted to test the idea that you could do small run manufacturing on your own. And so over the course of the semester, I built out a Kickstarter campaign. I took all these product photos. I made this video. This is a still from one of the videos. And I basically tried to figure out all the practical steps that I would need in order to produce everything that I needed to do. It was all like a ton of work, as Peter knows, but my Kickstarter ended up getting funding for an initial order of, I think, 45 pieces, which was about $6,000, which for me at the time was like huge. I was really, really excited. I had never really sold that many things to people. So that was like a huge number to me. And if I were to break down, I guess, like the hourly rate that I received for all of this, it probably was very, very, very bad. Like I don't think the amount of time I spent to the money I got was like very, very poor, but still it's like, I think it was super important for me to realize that it was like possible to sell things that I had made. It's really, really hard to get people to buy something that you make. So I used some of the money that I got from the Kickstarter campaign to buy all the materials I needed, obviously, and the materials and the tools. But one of the things that I ended up doing from those proceeds was buying a Prusa printer, which was like so far and beyond better than the 3D printer that I had been using up to that point. So I ended up using that in a lot of my, sorry, someone's calling me. Ended up using that in a lot of my prototyping while I was at Pratt, which came in handy. But like where Wooge, I think, really kicked off, this initial $6,000 was really helpful to me personally, but where the company really kicked off was at the beginning of the pandemic. So I was still at Pratt during that time, and Everything had gone online. Everyone like basically got kicked off campus. I was at home. I was feeling pretty crappy. Nobody really knew what was going on, as I'm sure all of you remember. And it was a mess. I was kind of a mess. So I needed a project. I had bought a Noguchi lamp that had broken, and sorry, I bought a Noguchi lamp that had broken. They had sent me a replacement, and that was really nice of them. But they also let me keep the original one. So it had a bunch of legs. It had the legs and the hardware still available. So I wanted to make use of it. So I decided to design a shade that would sit on the legs of the Noguchi. So I could basically just have like 2 lamps for the price of 1. So I printed this one out after making a bunch of really weird shapes. And this one kind of was the one that stuck. Oops, sorry. And I ended up feeling really happy with the shape. So I was thinking like, okay, well, now that I've done this, maybe I should just try to make something so I can make a lamp that's standalone. So I don't need to like buy another broken Noguchi to make another lamp. So I ended up designing the lamp on the right, which was like the original wavy lamp. I posted it on Instagram and asked if any of my friends wanted to buy it. And I guess to my surprise, like a couple people did want to buy it. So I ended up selling 5 of them to people that I knew personally. And then from there, I felt emboldened by that. So I decided to pay a little bit for some Instagram ads and to try to put ads in front of people that I didn't know. And basically that took off really surprisingly fast because it got in front of some influencers and they posted about it and it kind of took off from there. So it was like really an exciting and very fast-paced thing that happened. I basically had the 1 printer and quickly bought a 2nd printer and then a 3rd printer. And then I finally ended up with 6 printers. And at that point I had just basically too many orders that I could handle myself. So I ended up hiring like my first employee who was my neighbor. So we were just passing across the hall, like 3D printed parts and like electronics and stuff. And she would help me ship them out. So that was like basically like where it took off, especially it was like during the winter where it really took off and people were trying to buy stuff for their houses, trying to buy gifts and stuff. So since then we've moved into a studio space and built up our print farm from the original 6 to 20 printers, and now there's 6 of us in our studio. This picture is kind of like near and dear to me because it's the first picture that I saw that someone had taken of their lamp that like I didn't know personally, and they've sent this and they were like super thrilled about it. So really exciting. That was like a very exciting moment where it felt like very real and like tangible to me as something that was a viable pathway forward. So that's kind of like, there's a lot more details about moving into the studio and stuff. I can talk about that if you're interested later, but there's like a couple of things. I think there's like 4 little tips that I would have for you if you're starting a business and like starting it yourself and doing all these things. So I'll just like kind of run through them really quickly. So if you can keep your costs as low as this, it seems really obvious, but if you can keep your costs low for as long as you can, it's super important. Basically, when I was operating out of my apartment with 6 printers and just me, my margins, like basically the money that I made off of my time, was super, super high. But at a certain point, it became like totally unbearable for me to just do it on my own in my apartment. And so now with a team of 6 and an office, my expenses are much, much higher, but obviously it makes the work more bearable. But I really had to push it as long as I could because it really gave us like a base of money to work with. The second thing that we do at Wooge that I think is really helpful for us is we show our work like very, very often. We basically show all of our prototyping process, we show all of our in-process works, and we get feedback from people all the time about like what they think about our products and if they're interesting to them. So it's a really good way for us to gauge how people are going to react to new products that we work on. And it's a way that we develop new products anyways. And it's a little bit of a collaborative process between like our audience and us, trying to determine like what's going to be interesting. So I would recommend for you to just share your process as much as you can and get feedback from people. So the other big thing that I feel like I wish someone had told me is like, just pay really, really close attention to the amount of time you spend on something versus like the amount of reward or like how much you're getting back from it. We designed early on a couple of clocks that were really cool that we really, really liked. In fact, I have one right here. Oh, I'm sharing my screen so you can't see me. But anyways, I have one. And it was a really cool product. We thought it was great, but we didn't sell that many of them. And at a certain point, it became obvious to us that there was like a ton of problems that we were having with them. Like the clock mechanism didn't really work. We were having trouble printing them. There were all these problems in production. And this was something that accounted for like only 5% of all of our sales. And yet it was about half of our customer support requests and like half of our production issues. So it became really clear at a certain point that this wasn't worth it. And it was super, super painful at the time to like make that decision to kind of like cut them out, because it just felt like a defeat. But it was like, obviously now in retrospect, I'm like, we should have done that like months before. So just pay really close attention to that. My fourth thing I think would be like, if you can do it, like self-fund your business. I think I got lucky to have that first Kickstarter campaign that sort of funded the tools that I needed in order to continue and really build my business. And I wasn't really expecting it to be a business that developed, but I was able to buy the first 3D printer I needed. And then I was able to fund the remainder of the 3D printers that we got when we first started by just selling product. But on the flip side, if you have a big idea and it requires you to spend a lot of money in order to grow or even build the thing in the first place, like you should raise money. So don't let people tell you otherwise. I think there's like a tendency in entrepreneurship for people to tell you one or the other. I think you just need to make the right decision for you. So I self-funded, but if it makes sense to raise, you should raise money. So those are kind of like 4 things that I think are like interesting. And that's where I reached the end of my prepared presentation. So I would love to, like, if you guys have any questions, just like talk through things and just like sort of chat about it. I don't know if this was like, I didn't really know what to prepare, so I
Before we open it up, I want to pepper you with some questions, and then I'll open it up to everyone else.
Okay.
Wait, Peter, can I also just say, Sean, thank you so much for being here. And also just let you know that you are visible because you are made one of the co-hosts so that people can see you.
You can show your clock.
This is like the original prototype of the clock that caused all my problems.
Okay, cool.
So like those were some of the questions. I mean, so everyone on here are, they're young entrepreneurs. They're thinking about or first idea in a lot of cases. We have a range of ideas from digital products to physical products to design studios. Now that you have a successful business, you're up and running, you have employees, what would you say the majority of your time is spent on?
Oh my God, it's like all marketing. It's like marketing and like operations. I basically don't design anything anymore. And it's like kind of sad, but that's just it. Like, I think I consider myself really, really lucky if I get to spend one day designing things.
I think I'm going to ask you questions and I'm looking for certain answers, and that's like an important thing I think that people need to understand is that like we all have this dream about like we're going to start our own design studio and we'll just get a design all day, but like 20% of your time is design and the rest is like managing things.
Yeah, like really.
So your theory when you came to my class was, I believe that local small manufacturing can exist. We don't have to go to Asia. We don't have to go to big manufacturing. We can make our own things. And I kind of looked at you and I said, yeah, you can do it to a certain level, but you've built this very large, small business.
Yeah.
When you think about where you see your business growing, what do you think about? I know we've talked about more advanced tooling and things like that, but like, where do you see it going to keep growing it?
Yeah, it's really interesting because that's kind of the inflection point that we're at right now. Like, we're basically hitting we're kind of hitting a ceiling on like our capacity to do things in the room that we're in. Like just, I mean, to get into some of the nitty gritty details, we have like a 700 square foot studio, and we have 20 printers in there. And our studio space isn't particularly expensive for like Brooklyn, but I mean, real estate in Brooklyn is expensive, and we can't like reasonably jump to like another like double our space anytime soon, given kind of like how our sales are. So we're like sort of like at a limit to the carrying capacity of our studio. So we're trying to figure out ways to do like around that. And one of the ways that we're doing it right now is we have collaborations with other studios and other fabricators. We just finished a run of ceramics. I don't know if you ever saw those like wavy cups.
I saw I commented on, I don't know who I'm talking to anymore now that you've grown so much, but.
But yeah, so we just finished the first run, and we're doing like a run of 100. And so this is a small run with someone that's very close. Like they're actually like in the same building as us, which is obviously really convenient. But that's like as big as they can go too. Like they can't produce very much more than that at any given time. But it's at least taking that operating, like taking that space out of our studio, taking like that effort out of our studio, and basically using a dollar amount to like expand our capacity, like just contracting out. And so another way that we're exploring right now is we've standardized a lot of our parts, like the wavy base. We've done a lot of optimizations on them to make them like extremely printable. And we've found that we're like working on it right now, but we found some economically viable like ways, like we can just farm it out to other print farms because it's such a like manufacturable part in that sense. And the costs are like, they make sense for us. Like it actually like, it just adds to the bill of material costs, but it ends up making a lot of sense for us for a lot of our parts. So that's another way that we're looking at things. And just generally, we're looking at other manufacturing methods for like expanding manufacturing domestically with other companies, with a variety of products. So we're like expanding our product line, and largely where we're hoping to expand our product lines are to things that we don't necessarily have to personally make, and then spending time developing, prototyping, making like these proof of concepts in our studio. So like basically we've been able to bootstrap ourselves on our own manufacturing method, but like interestingly enough, like we're like hybridizing the way that we approach our own the manufacture of our own goods, trying to figure out a way to have like both catalogs available.
Do you think that that's where your competitive advantage is as a housewares brand, or do you think it's in some of, like where do you think your competitive advantage is against some of these bigger houseware brands?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's kind of something that I think about all the time, which is like we're like 3D printing and like rapid prototyping is basically in our DNA. Like we utilize it for everything, and so we can like concept things very quickly. Sometimes our advantage is that the concept and like the prototype is very like is not dissimilar in production to like our actual finalized products. So like we can bring them to market really quickly. But if it's something that we want to do on a bigger scale, we can still prototype, or working with someone else, we can still prototype it in-house really quickly and like trial it out. So that in a sense is part of our advantage, is that we can like try, like for a studio our size, I mean, I'm basically the only designer the only in-house designer there. And we prototype like, I don't know, I think like at least 5 products a month that are like potentially viable. And that's just me with like a very short amount of time. So I think like if we had another designer, it would be even, we'd have even more of an accelerated pace. That said, I think we're figuring out, like this is in progress learning on our part. We're trying to figure out like, yeah, actually like we assumed our competitive advantage was that we could just self-produce everything, and to a degree it is, but in some ways that's an insufficient advantage. Like we need to do more than that, and that's kind of something that we're like trying to figure out right now.
Because you'll hit a ceiling, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like we're like at our carrying capacity. Like we're trying to figure out like one thing that we're trying right now is staggering our product releases. Like we won't have every product available at every time. And originally the thought was like we'd have our whole catalog available to sort of like increase the surface area of available products that you hit when you like land on our page. But we're actually introducing the reality of the scarcity that we have in terms of our own production capacity, which also like our hypothesis is, and we don't really know yet because we've really just started and really we haven't quite implemented this yet, but our hypothesis is that like having a little bit more scarcity on that will also like increase the possibility that people like want to buy it right then because they don't know if it's going to be available for how long, you know.
Yeah.
So that's one way that we're utilizing like the reality of our carrying capacity in kind of like our marketing strategy. We're in a building with a bunch of ceramicists, and they're a good metaphor for our production method as well, which is like they make a bunch of they have molds, they make things, they do slip cast molds, they glaze them. It's a slow process. They can't make like that many things at once, but the way that they work with their audiences and the people that they're selling to is they'll release like batches of things at a time and like really build up the excitement around those batch, like basically drops. And so that's one thing that we're exploring in addition to trying to build a more consistent output of things by having contract partners that basically support us in having like a catalog that always is present.
Okay. A lot of your tips had a lot of the lean startup fund, you know, the foundation of lean startup. How much do you think your experience building digital products and like that you know the startups in San Francisco helped frame your physical product business?
A lot. I think like I had a point in my presentation about that, but I like skipped it because I like just like missed the point that I was making. But yeah, like the idea of a startup was that you could just kind of have a laptop and, you know, come up with an idea and make it, and like your overhead was super low. And I would say that that was really similar to how I started with Wooge, which was that like, okay, yeah, like a 3D printer is like, you know, a Prusa printer is like $800 or something, but like relatively speaking, you know, it's like the price of a laptop or something. So a laptop and a Prusa printer, and you can have a product in your hands that you can sell is like very compelling, I think, and very similar in nature to that idea. Obviously, like it's a little slower because it's, you know, you have to wait a bunch of time to hold the thing in your hand, but like the cycle time is way lower than it ever has been. To get like a prototype in your hands. Like, you know, I know Hannah is doing a lot of prototyping on her very large scale project with a bunch of 3D printers. And I don't think that there would have been any other way to really do that kind of prototyping without like 3D printers. She has like three 3D printers, which again, not cheap, but like not outrageously expensive. Like the startup cost is still low in comparison to almost anything else.
Yep. Then the other thing that you know, so that's talking about, you know, like, I don't know how much market research you did other than going on Instagram and seeing if people wanted it and then seeing that there was demand. I don't think you were like, let me look at my competitive grid. I think you were like, wow, people want this. Let me keep making it. So
yeah. I like don't ever, I mean, maybe it's to my detriment, but like, I don't ever really think about, I don't think about it in like a grid format or anything. Like, obviously I look at what's happening around me and I kind of like make assessments based on that, but it's not, I'm not so calculated. Like, I don't think about it like that. So yeah, but I definitely didn't do that like in class where you were like, let's do a competitive analysis. I was like, okay, like OXO, like good grips or like whatever. And I was like, yeah, but like, I don't know, this is like a knife rack that looks cool. It doesn't really, I was like, the knife rack was always funny to me because it wasn't ever like anything that had like actual features. It just was a knife rack. Yeah. And I had a hard time selling it beyond that, but like it really kicked everything off. I was like, this is a knife rack that looks cool. And I couldn't even market any more than that.
Yeah, so we're getting a couple of questions. I want to ask one more question, then I'm going to turn it over to the questions that are coming in on the chat.
Yeah.
So that brings up when you were launching your crowdfunding campaign, you were very smart and said, hey, I'm not ready to launch yet. I got to go get great photos. I got to really build this market. You know, like you came up with sort of some of the initial concepts of the brand in the class that we had.
Yeah.
How important do you think that, like, how clean your brand is, how you present it has been one of the keys to your success?
Yeah, it's actually really interesting because when I first started, like I did a lot of that branding stuff in your class. And it was like, when I designed the site and like built out the site, I was like, okay, we're gonna make it look like a really clean, like direct to consumer brand, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, you're gonna see an ad for this and like on like Bon Appetit or whatever, and you're gonna go there and visit the site and it's gonna feel like all fancy and stuff. And so it was actually like, it worked a little too well in the beginning because people would order from us. And actually I say us, but at the time it was just me. People would order from me
in that room you're
yeah,
in.
and they would be like, where's my thing? And I'm like, I'm printing it right now, but like there's 5 other people that I'm printing it before you. And they were like, what are you talking about? And I had to sort of like be like, hey, I'm just like this one person. So I had to I actually stepped back, like I toned it down a little bit and made it like a little bit more approachable. Like our Instagram became way more like, hey, like we're just like people in an office or whatever, and like not a huge company, which has been sort of effective as a hybrid, just being like really accessible as like individual people and also like still like design minded has been pretty valuable. I think like, yeah, I mean, it was super valuable. Like I would say that like coming up with a brand, coming up with an idea was really valuable. You have to adjust it as you proceed, because if we had just continued with that like initial branding exercise without like adjusting it to be more humanized, like I don't know that we would have been like, we wouldn't be in the same place.
Yeah. So now there's some questions coming in. Do you want to can you look at the chat? Can you see it?
Yeah, of course.
So you want to start with the first one?
Bhagya, you can ask yourself your question if you want, now that you have the opportunity.
Okay, no problem. Oh, hi, Sean. This was very inspiring to see how, like, I also have an industrial design background, but I kind of moved into digital products. So it was very inspiring for me to see how you were able to put it up in the market like this and grow in a year. So my first question is, how are you able to maintain the quality of the product with 20 different 3D printers? Has, from my knowledge, 3D printer do have some error of margin when, even if you have the same set of model given to them, right?
Yeah, so it's a good question. We spend a lot of time working on our printers, and I would say a little too much time. The way there's a couple of things with 3D printing is that like it's not always going to work, and if it doesn't work and you're doing things in production, you have to figure out a way to make it work. And what I mean by that, like in our case in particular, we have occasional like blemishes that happen through the printers on our products, and it would be a real shame to just like throw those things away. So we market our like seconds or like minor blemished lamps. We sell them at like, I don't know, 40% discount to our regularly priced lamps, and they actually move a lot. Like we sell a lot of them, almost. Well, we basically sell them as soon as we like put them into our system. So because they're so much cheaper than the regularly priced lamps. And that's one way that we deal with printing issues. The other way, I mean, we've gotten a lot better at dealing with printing issues because I hired an engineer, and he is much better and much more diligent and much more thorough than I am at printer maintenance and just like understanding of like the systems behind all of the printing that we do. We go back and forth a lot. Like I always want to push things, like I want to push things for speed. He wants to push for consistency and quality, and like we meet in the middle, and that sort of has worked out for us. We perform maintenance. I mean, we run these printers basically 24/7. I think our oldest printer has run for over a year. It has over a year in print time. So and it's still running. So it's like we really use them. So maintenance is really important. We are using a lot of recycled material, and that also brings some issues if the original stock is like, it basically there's material science at play with some of the stuff. Like if it's been recycled, like it's got different properties. Sometimes the stock that they're using for the feedstock that they're using of the recycled material is different. So there's different properties. So you have to just try to find settings that work across a wide variety of materials, and adjust things as you go along. So we have optimized around like printability of things in a lot of our products, but they don't start out that way. Basically, we have to figure it out. Like I'll usually have a design prototype, print it, and be like, okay, we're selling this now. And then James, who's the engineer, will be like, okay, cool. I'm gonna make some changes and it'll be better. And I'm like, great, like good. But we'll just go back and forth a lot on those kinds of things. And I think that's kind of like, it does remind me, having worked as like a designer in like app development, like it's the same back and forth that I had as an engineer with designers and as a designer to engineers that I worked with.
The next question, how do you decide to price your products? I think it's interesting. I actually think your deformed ones are way cooler than your perfect ones. I always thought you should charge more for those because they're actually rarer and they're more inconsistent. So
no, Peter, I was hoping to get one of those at a discount, so be quiet.
No, we do. We actually do sell them for more. So we have the blemish lamps, which are just like lamps that are printed with like a slight error, but the distorted lamps are like we will heat gun them and do a bunch of stuff to them to make them like even crazier. And those we do sell for more money because like, yeah, obviously like we're spending a lot more time on them.
So when you're pricing products, I mean, product pricing is a very tough thing. So especially your cost of goods is your time, material, staff.
Yeah.
So how do you come up with your pricing?
We're getting better at doing it. Like the first wavy, for instance, like I can give you an example of how I badly priced something. The knife rack, I priced well to move so that I would succeed in the crowdfunding, but I priced it poorly in the context of like actually like level of effort. I think I would say that I made $5 an hour working on those things. The original wavy lamp was priced at $105, which based on the amount of time it took to print, like basically it used to take a full 24 hours to print a wavy lamp. Now it takes 4 hours. The price is like more expensive now that it takes 4 hours. Like we've priced it higher. Now it's 130 rather than 105. So it was like badly priced at 105, but it was actually well priced to move as well and get us off the ground. So those were sort of arbitrary decisions. I was like, like what would I pay for this? 105? Okay. And now it's a little bit, there's still a little bit of that because we have to sort of like assess like, okay, what does this look like? How does it feel? Like whatever, like how much price, what's the pricing that feels reasonable? But we're using a lot more of like, okay, this takes 4 hours of time. This takes 10 minutes to assemble, takes 20 minutes to pack. That's like this amount of money. So like we know how much each of them cost us. And then we try to have a margin, you know, at least like 4 times the like, you know, the unit cost. It's typically more
at direct
than 4
consumer,
times.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good margins.
Yeah. And so like, yeah, so we figure out like all of the numbers on like the bill of materials, like the printer time. And like what we're trying to do with the printers at least is like try to get the most dollar hours out of each printer. Like, okay, what is the most expensive thing it could be printing more or less? And that's how we kind of like optimize around like print schedule. Like we used to have, like we got rid of a couple of products because like the amount of time they took to print versus like what we could reasonably charge for them, which is like that didn't match. And a good example of this was we have this pleat lamp, which is like a sort of like it's this one.
It looks like a dancing person. It looks like a woman, like a dancer.
But it's very tall. And someone was like, well, why don't you make a short one? And I was like, yeah, that would make sense, but we'd have to price it less expensive. But really, it's like 50 cents less expensive than the tall one. and we would have to support like we'd have to buy 2 different sets of materials for it. And it just like, it's not worth it. Like, we were just like, no, like, yeah, it doesn't really make sense. We're not going to do it. So that was like one of the considerations we made in terms of like, that's not just pricing, but it's just like the perception of price is also like, someone looks at a smaller object, they're like, it should be less expensive, but in reality, it costs us exactly the same.
But you never thought that like the more expensive ones would support the less expensive ones and you sort of amortize them?
Yeah, but it's just like, we're also in a process of trying to figure out how to simplify just generally our production and like basically reduce loose SKUs. Like if they're not performant in terms of like they're not actually doing anything for our bottom line, like we're trying to kill them earlier now than before. We used to hold on to things for like months because we were like, no, but it's like, it looks nice, it should work, it should be a good design, like I like it. And now it's like, yeah, nobody wants to buy this, whatever. Like, I guess I don't like it anymore.
All right, next one's junior intern.
Yeah, probably coming up.
Connect with me and I'll connect you to Sean. Ava. Seppi, a person who would like to create my own models and products in miniature form, though, 3D, do you think available, you can read it?
Yeah. Do you small letter products, larger scale straight off the bat? It just depends, Seppi, on like what your scale is meant to be. Like if you're printing a bunch of small things and you're trying, like generally, like I think small objects, you have to be really, really precise on them and make them like very, very detailed. So you would use like a small nozzle or something. I would just start small. I would just start with your own printer and just like try to do it. I wouldn't try to like do a bunch of them at once unless you like know that there's an audience already for it. I don't know. I may be misinterpreting the question, so let me know if that
Seppi, do you want to clarify?
No, yeah, it's pretty good. It's like the like prototyping, I guess, stage. It's like making like a smaller version of a sculpture, or like
like a scale model.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just print it.
Yeah, build things and see what they look like is always good advice, because anything I'm drawing or flat looks great, and then you see it in 3D and you're like, ooh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I guess like the only addendum that I would make to that, it's like the only time that I'm working on something where I don't have it in my hand that I feel like it's actually representative of it is like when I used Gravity Sketch or something in VR. And because I had depth perception, it actually feels like a viable way to understand like space and form. But like, yeah, I always print everything as soon as I like have a CAD model of it, because invariably I'm super wrong about like the proportion on the screen or like the actual size in real life. Like it's just like so off. And I think that's like an unfortunate side effect of like, that's just like how we have learned how to like design stuff is on a screen. And so the quicker you can get it off the screen in front of you, like the better, because the screen is I mean, I realize I'm sounding like my professors who were always like, you guys can't draw or make models or whatever anymore, and you're just using your computer. But like, you can use your computer to make something that you hold, and you should. Like, I'm thinking about like Catherine Phila just like screaming at me.
Well, yeah, she's the flip phone. Okay, so we have a bunch of questions about how you promote your company, how you attract customers, how you grew your Instagram, how you do your marketing. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean,
Where else do you market?
Marketing, like when I started, Instagram ads were like way more effective than they are now. And I could go into this in great detail, but like basically the iOS like tracking thing like killed our marketing on Instagram. But I used like the way that I started was I picked like a bunch of publications that I thought people that would want a like designed lamp would follow, or like people who were like interested in like D2C brands like whatever, what's the company, Our Place or something, like all those kinds of like millennially D2C brands. And I like picked those categories and selected an audience that was already interested in them. And that was really effective in the beginning because it basically directly selected like all of these people living in Greenpoint and Williamsburg and just put it in front of them. And that was like highly effective. That's how it got in front of the influencers in the first place. I would say now it's harder. It's definitely harder now to market yourself. You have to kind of break through a bunch of noise, and you have to do it like organically. And the way that like everyone is encouraging people to do it now is like Reels, TikTok, and like just being consistent and posting all the time and doing this. And like we do that. And sometimes it feels rewarding, but most of the time it doesn't feel rewarding. And we're still trying to navigate what that feels like. I don't envy someone in a position right now that has to try to build an audience from scratch, because it's harder now to do that in some ways than it used to be. But if you're good at like video and like short form video content, like that's a really good way to get your stuff in front of people. Show your process, show your work, like show what you're doing. People are interested, because most people nowadays don't want to take the time to like actually have a process of their own to do things. They're really, really interested in watching other people that have a process. So like, it's like, watch me do some woodworking, watch me like prototype a thing, watch me do this. It's like, yeah, most people are like, I have no attention span, but I'll watch someone do this thing for like 2 minutes. And that's a good way to like get their attention.
Some people are asking about repeat customers and customer acquisition costs. And like, you know, now that you have a following, like you get repeat customers, how do you build that?
Yeah, it's interesting for us because largely like we're expanding into, we've been trying to expand into products that like allow customers to buy from us again. We get repeat customers because they buy like our lamps as gifts, but like they're still, you know, like they're like affordable for like designer lamps, I guess, designer lighting, but it's, you know, it's still like $130. It's not like cheap. So we get a lot of gift buyers who have a lamp, they liked it so much, they bought it for someone who came over to their house and they loved it. But we don't have so many products that you're like gonna buy again, because there's only so much lighting that one person needs. We were looking into other categories, like we had the clocks, we had these vases, and they kind of work, but the margins were a little too low. But now we're working on more ceramics, and ceramics are very like giftable and repurchasable, because you know, you drop them, you break them, whatever, and you really love that mug, you really love the mug, you love how it feels, you love it every morning with your morning coffee, whatever. And yeah, so like it's something that people will buy again, and it's not super expensive, so it feels like doable. So that's something that we're exploring in terms of repeat customers. We're trying to build out other products that are like different outside of our category of lighting. I mean, most of our products are lighting, so most of our customers are new customers every time.
Then we have a couple sort of business organization questions, like how did you decide to grow and employ people, and how do you manage inventory?
How we decided to grow, I mean, it's always been a question of necessity in terms of growth. It's been like, what is the carrying capacity of our current team? And then being like, we're way beyond our carrying capacity. And like I said, like basically staffing is one of the most expensive parts of our business. Like we spend, I don't know, like $220,000 a year on our employees, which is great.
And rent, right?
No, oh yeah, and rent, yeah. And then like I like kind of pay myself. Like we're still not even like full, like I'm not a full-time employee of my own company. So yeah, I mean, which is fine. But you just like we have sort of like capped ourselves now at 6, and we're like, we need to figure out how to be effective with this many people and try to get everything done and grow with this amount of with this size of our team. So it's always a carrying capacity. We're like I used to be more like, yeah, let's like hire someone to do this, and now I'm like, let's not hire anybody to do anything. Like let's all just try to figure out how to do this, which is working for now. But yeah, at a certain point we'll hit another carrying capacity. and we'll just need to figure out what to do at that point.
I have a couple more that I want to pull up from the thread before letting you go. One was definitely, how do you manage your build to order, your BTO? So how do you manage your inventory? We've talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
Like, how do you project how much you're going to need to run your machines all the time and what you need to build, you know?
Yeah, so we have like I was talking about, like we've simplified a lot of our like the inventory that we hold. Like basically, I think 30% of our sales are from the black standard wavy lamp. And so now we're like, okay, like black is a color that we're always going to print. Black is a color that we're always going to stock. Clear filament is always a color that we're going to stock. And that simplified things a lot. And now we will like run out, we'll just stock out of colors and like not order them until we like take the time to figure out like, okay, well, this was like 10% of our profits or something, so we should restock this in that proportion. Inventory is something that has been a real challenge for us because there are so many opportunities in the process for like for an item to become like unusable. So like, okay, you print it, you add it to like your inventory, it turns out it's like a blemished thing, or it turns out like we dropped it and it broke, and like keeping track of all these intermediate steps is really hard. It's a huge challenge for us, and generally just a huge challenge for everybody. Like there are these systems called MRPs. They're like material resource planning tools, and manufacturers use them all the time. And we had to build our own MRP. We built it in Airtable, and it's like kind of a mess, but it like kind of works. But now it got so complicated. It was much easier. We added so many SKUs, and like we got rid of SKUs, and we did all this stuff. Now it got like way more complicated.
We should go over here and talk about this. I have a good solution for you.
That's great. I would love to hear it. But anyways, it's complicated. It's hard for us to keep track of inventory. The way that we keep track of it now is really just by looking at our orders on like a regular basis and looking at what we've been making, and then making decisions like at regular intervals rather than like trying to wait too long to do it. So we just check in more often. So it's actually more of a process driven thing than like a tool driven thing or anything at this point.
All right. Another one, and I'm going to throw you two more, and then I have one that I really want to ask you that is on here. How did you land on your name of your company?
It's my Korean name. It's like a abbreviated version of my Korean name, which is Ujin, Kim Ujin. And so I just took the beginning. Incidentally, it sounds kind of like something that's wavy and squiggly, so it really worked out.
And then there's one more before. I'm just reading here. We tried using AI-based inventory. Yeah, that's always, it's tough for what you guys do.
We haven't.
I think I see that dog more than I see you on the Instagram. I think the big one here that I was saving for last was, how do you deal with the stress, the mental health stress of being a business owner? And I think that's an important one that like I know that like we all talk about, but like,
yeah,
you know, you like, what do you do? Like you're creative. That's something what we do to like relax. Like, what do you do to relax? How do you deal with it?
Yeah, it's crazy because it used to, like what I used to do to relax is now my job.
It's okay. We're all
yeah, it's like my I used to like try to like draw things or like design stuff to relax. And so now it's like the pressure to design and draw things and like do all the things and document everything is like really high. And managing people is also stressful, and like managing your income and managing like your finances for a company and keeping everything afloat is like incredibly stressful. And it's super, super easy to just like, I'm particularly inclined to just like keep working through it, like just grinding it out and just grind and grind and grind to just try to solve the problem and basically try to solve every problem. And at a certain point, you really can't solve every problem. And at a certain point, you can't just grind your way to a solution. So you have to be okay. And this is hard for me to do, but I'm trying to get better at it, to like actually just fully take time off and fully give yourself a break to like recuperate. Because especially if you're running your own company, if you're like not in a mentally good place, it is so obvious, and it goes to every part of your business that you are in charge of and all of your employees. So it's hard. And you also just have to give yourself a break, I think. And also find people who are not, like, it's important to find people who are doing this and talk to them and figure out like, oh, what do you do to like cope? But it's also important to just like have a lot of people around you who like don't care about entrepreneurship at all, who are like, yeah, cool. Whatever, that sounds great. And just like, hey, like chill out basically. Because it's hard. It's not easy to think about this all the time. And you will think about it all the time. If you're like really passionate about something and you really want it to work, it's what you're going to think about all the time. And it's going to impede, like you're going to sacrifice things for it. Whether that's like whether it's like the time you spend with friends or your partner, or like the time you have to spend with your family, whatever, like there's going to be something that you give up. And so you have to find a way to balance that out. And if you don't, it's like, yeah, like what's the point of doing it in the first place, basically?
All right, my last question for everyone who's going to come and speak in this class is like, what's one resource you think, like whether it's a book or a website or a resource that you think is really important for designers and entrepreneurs and people starting businesses to just like to use? I mean, you know, it can be even just go take a walk, whatever. Like, what's something you think that like a young entrepreneur should, you know, be following, watching, doing to make them, you know, have a better chance of success, or at least get their mind right to do this?
I think you need to find like what that's a hard question. I actually don't have a good answer for that.
And it could just be like something I mean, you know, your memes, like when you just do your like dump of memes once a week of just like random things that have nothing to do with design, it's great.
Yeah, I think it's just important to have something like consistent around you, like in your life, that you can reference, that's like a reference point around you. Because if you're just like always feeling crazy and like rushed by your business, then you will always feel that way. And if you don't have a reference point to look at where someone is like not like that, or something is not like that, it's super easy to just like be lost in it, I guess. So you need something like that, I think. I would also just follow, like, you know, you already do it, but following like designers who you admire. People share more than ever like what they're doing, and yeah, of course a lot of it is like sanitized and like made to look good, but like a lot of the times you see people and post like really real stuff and you're like, oh man, are you okay? And that's good to see that like other people who are doing things at a level that you are like aspiring to are also like panicked and worried and concerned about things that you are also panicked and worried and concerned about. So I think it's just like a humanizing element just generally is valuable. Like I don't even think there's like any books or anything that I would like recommend, because it's all like it's like it has to be contextual to your life, and most often it's not going to be.
Yeah. All right, bud. Awesome as usual. Everyone, let's give him, you know, when people make time for you, and this is the, like, what, Carl, what do you always say? Like gratitude is the greatest thing.
Yeah, gratitude's maybe the most underutilized resource, and you know, like we so appreciate you being here. It was so inspiring, and I also wanted to ask, would it be okay if anyone wanted to like reach out, thank you, and maybe if they had like a question afterwards?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, my I'll just type it in the chat, but my email is sean@wooge.design. And if I don't get back to you like immediately, don't be offended. I just have a hard time, but I will get back to you at some point.
Yeah, thanks again, dude. Everyone, like a round of applause.
Yeah, and is there any way that like I would love to see the results, or like at some point see like what everyone's working on?
The final pitch is going to be live on campus. It'll be a Saturday, and we will invite you to be there. So you get to see all of, you know, you're laying the groundwork to inspire them to go through this program.
Yeah, that's good. It's been like a crazy experience. I recommend everyone to try to do it. If they're so inclined, you have to really want it because it's like extremely exhausting.
But also
But yeah.
very fulfilling, right?
But super fulfilling. Yeah, exactly. Like it is super fulfilling, and I get to do what I want every day for the most part.
Yeah. All right, bud. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here. This was super awesome as usual. You know, your insight and thoughtfulness is just amazing. So I'll follow up with you. I want to talk more about your inventory issues because Tarform, we are dealing with the same thing. I think I have a great solution because I've been digging deep at it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to like a beer and a chat about MRPs.
Yep.
And other things.
All right, later, man.
See you guys.
So we'll take a quick 10-minute break, back by 7:15, and we're going to pick up where we left off, which I'll have to go all the way back up, which will be Dot Studio Tiramisu Hui with Ali's son, and then we'll go down from there. And we'll let you guys finish your presentations, and we'll talk through what the next assignment's going to be for when we meet again. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. I mean, he's just awesome. He was just like amazing to hear his process. Carl, I don't know if you have anything you want to follow up with real quick before before break.
No, I think that's great. I'm glad we get a break because I was so inspired. This is so awesome. Hearing all of you and him, but I'm also a little bit fried. So just 10 minutes to like actually walk around. Don't just use it to stare at a screen or do emails. Actually get up and walk because it'll help you be refreshed for the very final part of this. And the other thing is someone asked about, there'll probably be some time at the end to ask like some questions you have. So if you have really burning questions, have those ready for us so that we can do our best to answer them. And then there's a hard out at 8 o'clock. So thank you, everyone, and see you at 7:15.
10 minutes.
7:15. Okay.
Finn, you're from Colorado Springs?
I am indeed, yeah. Manitou
Nice, and I
Springs.
grew up in Denver.
Oh, heck yeah, okay.
I've been out here for, I mean, I literally got into Pratt and moved out here, but I lived in Denver from, you know, when I was born till about 2000, then I moved to Pratt, and
Okay.
never really left Brooklyn since, but.
Nice. Yeah, it's a very different beast. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I took
The
my wife
humidity.
out to a Garden of the Gods and the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo like 2 years ago, and she's like, "Why don't we live here?" And I was like, "I have a lot of reasons. We can talk about Colorado Springs later."
Yeah.
But it's nice to have another Coloradan in the program. So.
Yeah, good to be here. Thank you.
All right. So as everyone's getting back, we've about 9 more pitches to go, and then we're going to go over what the assignments are and a little bit of detail on each one and how it's going to work and all that. And then we'll open it up for you guys to have any questions or thoughts or anything else after that. I'm going to give everyone a couple seconds to come in. Our next person pitching is Allison Ng. Are you here, Allison? Yes, no? Raise your hand. Maybe not yet. Do we see them? We're gonna skip forward, and then if they join, I don't see them. So Ava, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Ava. Nice job trying to ask for an internship. I love that.
Thanks.
All right, Ava.
Okay. Hi, my name is Ava. I'm a junior industrial design major. Throughout my life, I've always had an entrepreneurial mindset. I had like a pet sitting business when I was 13. And then I was contacting patent attorneys when I was like 15 to try to get my patents. And I know for sure that I want to start my own business after I graduate. I have lots of ideas. I just submitted one of them to this program to learn the basics of starting a business. So my idea is to create a brand of soccer cleats catered specifically to women. I've been a student athlete throughout high school and college, and I've played soccer my whole life. Growing up, when my parents would take my brothers and I to the store to get new cleats, it was significantly easier for them to find new cleats than it was for me. They would have at least 15 designs in the men's section with all their sizes, and in the women's section, there would be like 3 or 5 designs that just weren't appealing. I thought maybe it was just being picky, but nearly all of my teammates felt the same way. So I believe there's a gap in the market that I can fill to empower young female athletes. So that's my idea.
Great. Footwear is tough because it's expensive to launch, but it's definitely something that is within the wheelhouse of this program. So, you know, we're going to spend most of the time trying to resolve good designs, and then we'll talk about getting cost of goods and all that. But like, also, you know, going up against Nike and Reebok and all that, it's, you know, you're going to have to tell a very good story. And we see things like On Running, which is, you know, just dominated the market recently. So there is an opportunity there. So I think you have a very good value proposition. It's going to be how you would attack the market and costing, and then what you need in capital to get started. So welcome to the program.
Thanks.
Carl?
Yeah, also like Hoka, I'm a marathon runner, so I'm into and I was a Division I soccer player my first year of undergrad. So I love the space. I think it's a great idea. And I think, you know, like Peter said, you have serious competition. So it's figuring out maybe like having a niche market to begin with, and then you can scale from there.
Yeah. I still don't see Allison. If we see Oz, if you see Allison join, just, you know, we can keep moving on. The next is, sorry, I'm not going to get your names right. Do you just want to go ahead? Because I don't want to. Yeah, please.
So my name is Rushabh and my partner is Utkarsha. Utkarsha is an interior design grad from Pratt. I am an oddball. I am a software engineer in DC, and I've done my master's in computer science and artificial intelligence from IU, Indiana University. So basically, our idea is to create a marketplace for customizable triggers and nudges based on geolocations. So basically, I start with my pitch like, how many times like you wanted to take a nap on the train, but you were worried that you would miss your stop, or what if there's an app that plans and notifies you about must-see locations in and gives you history and fascinating facts when you visit a new place. So like you go through town and you're standing in front of a building and you want to know, okay, instead of Googling about it, you could directly get a notification saying, oh, this is the history of this place. So basically we want to create a marketplace where people can sell geolocation based data, and you would directly get a nudge or a trigger when you come in certain radius of a place, and it would give you interesting facts. Or maybe let's say if you want to plan out a date roaming around, and you could tell your partner like, oh, meet me here, and she would get a text notification saying, oh, like you could plan out a lot of stuff using this marketplace.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know how like hyperlocation and microlocation is becoming a major market. I have one startup that I'm involved, that I work with, that they're using it in like concerts and sporting events. So you can like find people in like super like dense areas. So I think there's definitely something to it. I mean, and you already know this because it's your background, but like you're getting your MVP right and being able to prove it without spending a ton of dough is going to be what'll set you apart. But yeah, this sounds awesome. Carl, anything?
Where were you 10 years ago? You know, when I was in the city and I would like miss my stop because I was on my phone or something. So, but seriously, I think because it's a great idea. I think the one question I would have is, some people are also, like Peter said, it's a big market, but there's also more than ever a sensitivity to privacy and not being tracked. And so like, you know, how would you be able to turn it off, I guess, or like, how would you allay people's fears about, okay, now we're just so trackable and this is just yet another thing that's exacerbating.
So there are certain ways where you can actually pull that data on your phone, and you don't need to be connected to the internet. So
I love that you're prepared for that question. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of our speakers is probably going to be a former student, but also someone who's launched a business called WearWorks, and they're using haptic technology and hyperlocations to like do wearables that will direct you around. So I think it's a great fit, and it's going to be fun to have you guys go through the program.
Thank you.
Great job. Welcome.
Next up is Karen with The Art of Honoring. Karen.
Hi, my name is Karen. I believe I'm the only art therapist in here, and from the art therapy department. And basically, my business idea is pet grief and art therapy. So right now I'm doing my thesis investigation in that, and I found out that there's a market or a need, mostly I want to see it more as a need, of somebody between the vet and the owner, and to help in the process of basically of palliative care. So there's a lot of research, there's a lot of investigation about grief in humans, but there's not enough investigation of grief with art therapy. And there's a lot of investigation also with grief per se, with pet grief. So there's data that tell me there's people that need it, but there have been nobody offering services before the animal companion is no longer here. So basically what I'm trying to do is be that bridge between the vet and the client. So the vet can send me referrals for pets that are going to palliative care, it could be cancer or something like that. And they can take out that weight from their shoulders, because there's a lot of regret, there's a lot of anger coming from the client to the vet. So that's also something that I think my business idea can offer. And the other part would be just trying to create normalizing basically the grieving part, and just honoring the dog or the pet before they're gone. So
I think it's a really interesting, I mean, I'm not sure we're going to figure out how we build it as a business and it makes money. but I definitely see the market here. I mean, I'll just very fast tell you this. One of my dogs was dying and I was going to go put her down, and I spent that day like painting portraits of her, and I still have them. And like, I get where there's a market here. It's just going to be how we monetize it and how we grow it and like all that good stuff. So art therapy and pet grief, I see as a market. It's how you grow it, right, Carl?
Absolutely. And just from a marketing standpoint and like, I would love to know also your personal like story about how, what really motivated this. Like, was this something that happened to you and you didn't find an outlet for it, or you did find an outlet and then you want to share that with people? I just think this could be a really wonderful sharing your own, just like even I got moved even just listening to my friend Peter talk about, I didn't know that, Peter, I'm sorry you're going through that, right?
It was a while ago, but just
I thought it just happened. Okay, well, I'm so sorry it happened, but I think, I'd love to hear your journey, and then like how you came to this so that we can also have that personal attachment.
Yeah, storytelling. So great. Next is Max and Yin Yang, right, people?
Yeah, here's Max.
Hi, Max.
Jinyang is not available for me to be here, so I'm present today. We are both from ACM program second year, and my undergrad is in economics, and she has an undergrad of music. Like before we came to Pratt, I work for an auction house, and she worked for an entertainment company. So, and also we have very different backgrounds from economics, finance, marketing, and music, and digital art, and also designer. And we have a lot of experience in many different fields. So, well, I'm very glad to be here and talk about our business ideas. Like basically, we want to explore a multimedia event model that combines the digital art and performing art. We find that many famous projects of a similar kind known by the general public are simply like projecting images on giant screens or play some back music. However, it is kind of difficult for audience to find the relationships between these art elements or to understand the artistic expressions. We hope to like gather artists from different fields to interpret the collective meanings better and construct a more narrative experience that can organically bring together those artworks, those object, activity, and ideas. And basically, young tech-native generation will be our target customers. We want to create a place for people to enjoy the arts and have fun together. And there are various ways to make our plan sustainable. For example, we can like generate profit by selling tickets, goods, advertising, and leasing intellectual property. And we plan the minimum viable product would be an actual event through our connections.
That, I mean, it's a lot to unpack. An event sounds like a very good MVP, and then like figuring out selling tickets, how the different digital and physical art works together. I think there's a lot of people trying to crack this. We see it a lot with the Shed and other event spaces. Carl, anything?
No, I love it. And I think you're gonna really just like learn so much about finding your target market, through this process.
All right, very nice. Next, OM.
Yeah, hello everyone. Myself Shailaja. I'm a fashion designer from India. Currently, I'm doing my design management course at Pratt Manhattan campus. And to start with my pitch, if you would allow, I'd like to share my screen. So that's fine.
Just go quick.
Yeah. So, I think everybody can see my screen, right?
Looks good.
Nope.
So the brief of my idea is to create a platform that's specially for the sustainable startups. As we can see nowadays, being sustainable is like a really big task, and it's easier for brands which are very prominent, like for Google, Nestle, or you can name it, any brands. But it's a really big deal for small startups to reach to globally. So I'd like to create a platform which can help local brands to go global. And this one, and my target customers, it's like everybody. It's literally kids, young people, or any age groups. And the competitions, or I'd like to say examples to understand, like Amazon, Walmart, acting like a middleman business thing, and how does it make money? So acting as a middleman, we get a certain percentage on every product that we're going to sell in our websites or through us. And the service we're trying to provide, we're going to create an international market for platforms to a small sustainable brands. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the pitch.
I will say that everyone is people, no matter what brand you are, no matter what business you are, and I like to use the iPhone as an example, or even the smartphone. When the iPhone came out, people were like, cool, whatever. And it was like, there was a few people that were like, I really need this, and they lined up for it. But the other, 99% of the world was like, whatever. And it took a while for even smartphones to start becoming everyone using them. So even if you are for everyone, you still need to know who your first adopters are going to be whenever you think about a brand. You can never say we're for everyone because you'll never capture your first audience. Secondly, building a platform for small sustainable companies to sell on a larger market, it's great. There's plenty of these out there, and it's going to be how you stand out against them. I've worked with a lot of different businesses that help connect small businesses with a larger audience and different international markets. So it's a good idea. It's just gonna be a lot of work to figure out who is interested in the curated companies you're finding and how you're selling it to them. I mean, Alibaba did a great job of selling to the whole world. So did Amazon. But I get your point. I think it's more curated, a little more picked out and all that. So it's going to be about how you build that first MVP and who the brands are you're representing and how you're representing them. Carl?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is like a huge undertaking. So it's about how can you do a lean MVP, so that you can see if you're creating enough distinction, because you don't want to, it's risky, but.
Yeah, I mean, one of the professors at Pratt, he developed something very similar and did very well for a little bit and then struggled. But I mean, once you go through the program, you'll figure out who your market is and why you're targeting them and everything else, maybe the people that buy on Amazon aren't buying from you. So maybe it isn't everybody, all right, Mushroom.
Okay. Hi, I'm Hao Yuanlu, and we have 4 team members: Hongbin Zhang, Yihong Li, and Pei Yuan. So we're all from Master of Industrial Design program, and we are trying to use the Mycelium materials to make furnitures. So basically, we collect the sawdust and grow mushroom, and put this material in our 3D printed mold, and to do the manufacture the products. I think our advantage is that it's sustainable, low cost, and the whole process is super fast. Like 5 days, we can get the product. Yeah.
Okay.
And we will start from a small desk size, some a pen holder, and try some big things.
Do you have any prototype right now? Any physical thing that you can see and touch, right now, or is it a little?
Yeah, but not in the studio right now. It's at my home. Yeah, we already made some small.
So Danielle Tafoyo, who is a professor at Pratt, she was one of the leaders in mycelium lights, and she developed and sold a lot of mycelium lights. She did all the lights in Brooklyn One Hotel. We'll talk about this. I mean, this is a good idea. It's a lot of people I know are working on it. The big thing is going to be how nice are the products. When you say it's pretty quick, 5 days, that's very long. Like as Sean said earlier, his first lamps are taking 24 hours. He's optimized them down to 4. And that from a manufacturing standpoint, still insanely long. So manufacturers cycle products in seconds, large scale. So 5 days for one product is sort of we'll have to figure that out, how it works. How big of molds are we building, everything like that, okay?
Yeah.
All right, cheers. Next up is Visual Game Center. Anyone from Visual Game Center here?
Yeah, it's me.
Hi.
Hi. So for my so I'm from Pratt Institute, Brooklyn campus, and I'm currently 4th year architecture student. So for the project, I proposed. It was about it was actually a idea that I brought from back to my country, and I think that's a like business idea that doesn't exist in maybe New York right now. So I was thinking about if it's possible to bring that to here. It's basically about having like small rooms, like it's like sharing offices space, like a big space that it created for people to go and can experience different games. And maybe there could be separate small rooms for movies also. So it could be a new type of space that people could spend time on to stay in and to maybe meet with different people and maybe date for couples.
Okay, so I think I get it. So is this digital games, physical games, board games, card games?
Yeah, it's like it's like a place that have like different games basically.
Okay. Yeah, Carl.
So is it in like an already, is it its own building, or is it within like a mall? Like what are you envisioning?
Yeah, I was envisioning actually like a space. So it could be in a mall or could be in like an office building. So all it need is a like large big space, and then you actually divide the space into different parts, and then to utilize it as a space that for people could experience different type of games.
Sort of like karaoke, right?
Kind of.
Yeah. Okay, like private karaoke rooms, things like that. Okay, cool. That makes sense. I mean, the big questions I'm going to have is like, where are you launching it? Is it in New York? How much space? What is it going to cost? What's the build out expenses? How do you get people there? What are you offering? You know, blah 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 blah. But you know, that being said, I definitely think that private spaces where you can go do any sort of activity people are interested in. You know, especially with COVID. So. Cool. And one last one, M Studio 3D Arts.
Hi. Hi everyone. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, can hear you great.
Oh, okay. My camera is broken, so today I cannot open it, but I can open it later. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so my name is Meryl. I'm currently an undergraduate student at Pratt. I study 3D animation and currently working as a freelancer. I work with some companies and individual influencers. Regarding my idea of starting a business, I want to create my 3D studio. I want to express more dreams through 3D works, because I think 3D is a good way to present ideas in people's minds, whether they are imaginative or realistic. This is more of a way of realizing the dreamer's dream. I want to realize ideas that people can't achieve in real life in 3D. So for my studio, we will provide advertising, animation, 3D design, and special effects design. I want to create my own 3D studio and my own brand, offering a variety of art designs, but I don't have a firm idea. So I hope to find the direction of the studio through this program. And I love to learn how to market my own works, and the studios also want to learn how to be a manager.
Okay. I'm not sure we're going to teach you how to be a manager. That's sort of something you learn on your own. But so I want to go back to the initial idea, to capture people's dreams in a visual sense. So like, I sign up for your website or app or whatever, and I get up in the morning, and maybe we're using one of these AI art services, and I say, I dreamt about pancakes falling on me, and I put it in, and then I get like a visual around it.
Yes, more than like that. I would like to build a program like to make people's mind to be 3D and like VR or AR something, so people can use a phone or a computer to achieve it. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's interesting, Carl. I mean, that's getting a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, I have way too many questions, just because you're presenting such a broad concept, so I just, I'm interested to hear how this evolves through the program. So.
All right, did anyone else need a pitch? I see, Z, did you pitch already or did you just join? Okay, Zhang? No?
Oh, I just joined. Sorry about that.
Okay, do you have a pitch?
Yes. Should I just go?
Yeah, go.
1 minute.
Cool. So me and my partner have been working on this project that's aiming to help people with only one arm to carry stuff. So it's basically a wearable grocery bag holder. So it holds your bags as you wear it. And we at the moment we have already developed a prototype kind of stuff, but I wouldn't call it prototype because it's not final material. But we hope to sell it. We hope to manufacture it in China and sell it on Amazon or Instagram in the US. It's a good idea because we know it's a good idea because we have found similar competitors on the internet. I mean, on the market, and they are either not good looking, that you don't want to wear them every day, or they are not practical with they cannot hold stuff or hold many stuff. So we want to do something that is a combination of utility or practicality and fashion and aesthetics that for people want to actually use it every day.
Okay. Obviously I know a little bit about your idea because you showed it to me recently and I gave you my feedback. I wish you would have made it earlier because I think Sean Woj's advice would have been really good. But Carl, anything?
Just from my own understanding, you already have a prototype and you're already testing this on people?
And it's
Yes,
not just for people with one arm. It's for anyone who struggles carrying lots of bags.
Yes.
Oh,
exactly.
okay. Well, that's my next question. Is it only people with one arm? Okay, got it.
Yeah, it was for people with only one arm, but as we developed this concept and we figured out that it can be used in many scenarios for normal people as well.
There's a good pivot right there where you're expanding who it can benefit. That's great.
All right, so thank you all for your pitches. I mean, this is a lot. I'm gonna have to sit and I like to think about all the pitches that I hear because I think about ways I can connect you. So the way this program is gonna work is hopefully every class, the first hour will be you guys presenting to us, and then an hour speaker, and then if there's a little run over like this class, especially because you guys are pitching for your first time, it'll run into next, and then I'll give you your homework assignment. Oh, sorry, someone hasn't said theirs yet.
Hi, yeah, it's me. Is my voice audible?
Go ahead.
Hey everyone, my name is Dhaval and you all can call me Vishy. I'm from India and I'm doing my undergraduate in game arts from Pratt Institute, Brooklyn. My idea is of a visual design studio, basically mainly focusing on visual effects. And that is in my home country. I'm thinking of this idea because I have already a digital marketing agency set up in India where we do social SEOs and design projects for small Instagram and Facebook creators. I was thinking of setting up a visual effects studio there because there are two motives to it. First of all, it's a very budding market in India. There are not many studios and there are a lot of artists around who are doing freelance work. Secondly, the currency conversion rate from American clients to Indian artists is quite high. So for as a consumer standpoint, it can be very cheap to get the same or better quality of work as compared to American studios. And as a designer standpoint, you'll be earning more for your efforts as compared when you're doing local stuff. This is my pitch as of now. My agency is of a field of 8 people, including 4 designers, but I have not as of yet hired a visual effects coordinator. because I'm
Alright.
still learning about it.
You're already running this and like generating profit?
Yeah, I'm running a digital marketing agency, not a visual effect. I want to make a subdivision of it.
Got it.
Got it. Yeah, I mean,
My main point of meeting you guys is to learn how to network and how to talk to clients and pitch my ideas to
Okay.
to customers.
all right. I don't have a lot of feedback because I don't know a lot about that market, but you know, we'll keep growing it and you'll have to go through the process and hopefully you learn something. Carl?
Yeah, look forward to working with you. Thanks for joining.
So that's, I counted it out, 27 pitches. A lot of to go through here. So as I said, each class, you guys will be presenting what you found from the homework assignment. We're going to keep it very short. It's tight because there's a lot of us. And then we'll have a speaker at every class to talk about something to help change your perspective or further your knowledge or just generally grow, you know, your theory of entrepreneurship. But I want to just quickly share your homework. So give me 1 second. Hold on. Make sure I'm showing the right screen. And do I have it up? Second. Okay. So you're going to be shared. We have an assignments folder, and in the assignments folder will be every assignment that is coming up. Our first assignment is for session 1. So there's going to be 4 things we're looking at, and we sort of ask these questions in your elevator pitch. The first is you really have to define your business. So like, what is a short business statement describing the problem you are solving or the value you're adding to your business? Now, this is going to change constantly as you're going through this program because you're going to keep learning. Is this what someone wants? Not what someone wants. But, you know, really framing your first business statement is really good. And I'm going to give you one of my favorite little templates here, which is a very simple ad-lib value proposition, because people always, when they pitch me businesses, they say, my thing does this, this, and this, and this, this, and this, and they use a lot of buzzwords. So it's really important to sort of frame it in a very simple way. So this ad-lib thing, I think this was from The Strategist, gives you a very clear way to frame your business. And I don't want you to write paragraphs in here. I want you to write 1 or 2 words. Simplify it down, really get it nice and tight and clear. And that'll help you understand what you're pitching and not just saying a whole bunch of buzzwords. So once you have that filled out, present that to us. That's a working sheet for you. You're going to sort of write out what your business statement is and what it isn't and who it's helping and what its goals are, where you're currently at. Then the next thing I'm going to ask you guys to do is research your competition. So understanding your market size, how big is your serviceable market? You know, just quickly thinking about some of the markets. Food waste, enormous serviceable market, but how do we make money in it? Making shoes for women's soccer. You know, I don't want you to tell me the footwear market. I want you to tell me the women's soccer cleat market. How big is it? How much can you capture? Then the next question I want you to do is go do some research. Always be Googling. So many people come to me with ideas and they show me these really large market sizes. They show me people that are not direct competitors, and they don't really get down to like who are their core competitors, or they tell me they have zero competition, which is a big no-no in any sort of like, because that means you really haven't done your research. A lot of times people tell me they don't have competition, and I've actually designed or worked for their competition. And then you need to understand is how is your business unique versus your competition? So in your value proposition and your business statement, this needs to be, we are this and not this. So if you're a e-com market where you're, you know, getting sustainable businesses in front of other foreign markets, you know, we're not Amazon, we're something else, right? And then you need to define your competitive analysis. So this is done in a lot of different ways, and this will probably change throughout the course, but you're going to want to create a graph, and there's other ways we can do it. So you can do an XY graph where you're on one end and all your competitors are on another. So this was Airbnb's original one. So we were affordable and we were an online transaction, you know, versus things that were offline and affordable versus things that were offline and expensive versus things that were online and expensive. You get to define what your XYs are, but make sure they're clear and they make sense. Or you can do something that's a competitive landscape comparison chart. This is a company that I'm with, and these are the categories that we were looking at. We were all of these, and these were our competitors. They didn't hit each graphic. So you need to start defining, what are we? What are we not? How are we better than the market? What are we better than our competition? And then another really great one is SWOT, which is, what are your strengths of your business? What are the weaknesses of your business? Where are your opportunities and where are your threats? So I'm asking you guys to kind of go through, do your market research, develop some sort of competitive analysis graphic where you're saying, we are this, we're not this, we're all of these things, we're not like this. So you're really defining like where your business fits in the market you've identified and how you fit against your competition. And then I also need to understand the basic idea of what your MVP is. So some of you said, my MVP would be this. It'd be an event. It would be a pop-up. It would be an app. But I'm starting to get a clear idea of what your MVP could be. And this is like very bare bones. I don't want you to be like, my MVP is a full running business with 10,000, users and $1 million annual revenue. I want your MVP to be something that's super light and simple that you can put in front of someone and they can understand very quickly. So when you read through this, there's a lot of different ways of how we look at MVPs and what they mean. So for next session, what I'm asking you guys to do is create a very short 4-slide presentation. The first slide is your business statement, using that ad-lib value proposition, a very clear business statement. This should not be, this should be simple, simple, simple. It should not use a lot of buzzwords, should not be overreaching. Carl, you want to talk a little bit about that when people use all these extra words to sound,
Yeah, I'm sure you've all heard of like a Tesla. They banned using acronyms and abbreviations, right? And those are obviously some pretty smart folks. But regardless of recent tweets, but I won't get into that. But I think you lose more time if you just assume somebody knows. So never assume somebody knows. MVP, like we defined it, most viable product, all those kind of things. And then we also go into what that means. So skip the buzzwords, skip the platitudes. It makes you look buzzy and inauthentic. So if I say, hey, I'm really excited to network with you, you're going to think I'm a cheese ball. But if instead I say to you, hey, I really appreciate making this connection because I feel like we could really, help each other out. I really value this about you. That's actually authentic and much more approachable. So it's really thinking about articulating yourself in an approachable way, in a way that resonates with people, and also storytelling. We touched on that with a few of your presentations, like where does this come from? So there's also that emotional component, attached to your problem statement as well.
Yep. Then show us the market size you're targeting. And this is a really interesting one because people will tell me their market is $1 billion and I'll be like, I don't think it is, and I'll tell you why. Or people will realize very quickly that their market is a guy in a cave, and I'll get into that story later. So what is your market size? And then show me that competitive advantage graph. Who are your competitors? What is that competitive advantage graph? And then define what steps you need for your minimum viable product. This isn't how you're going to build it, your budget or anything like. It's just like, what could I build that would show people what I'm doing? So that's for next session. You guys will each have 2 minutes. We'll go through all of them, provide short feedback, and then we'll also have some speakers who I think are great people. Their names are Selena and Nico. They've built and sold a few businesses already. They were on Forbes 30 under 30 list. They went to Pratt. So we're excited for that. So I will stop talking and open it up to questions.
So now's your time to ask questions. And before you ask questions, real quick, I just want to say that the 2 speakers next week are absolutely incredible. They blew me away because, again, very similar to Sean, these are people that were in your shoes. They're Pratt students. They're like 27, 28, and they've literally already created and, sold like 2 different businesses and stuff. I mean, they're absolutely amazing, and they'll answer very specific questions very candidly. So they're amazing. I just had to like, yeah. I'm so enthusiastic. Anyways, questions.
So we have not shared the assignment folder with you guys yet, and we have not shared the assignment yet. It'll go out after the session.
So ask now, guys, for any questions. There's no such thing as a bad question.
Is that session with the 2 people next week?
No, it's November 3rd, right? It's
So
every 3
everybody, you
weeks.
have all the sessions in your application, okay? So all the sessions for the rest of the time, there's no surprises. They're spelled out. So we don't want to hear anybody emailing us go like, hey, we actually can't make the session. Hope that's okay. Because you've had this information. This information hasn't changed since August. So I just have to say that, okay? So everyone, look at those dates. They're all spelled out. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
I didn't find the folder in my Google Drive.
We have not shared it yet. We will
he just
share
said
it
we
after
haven't.
the session.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ali? Elia, sorry.
Yeah. So I was thinking, like, since I'm thinking of doing an app and it would be really hard and like costly to actually develop it, especially like throughout this program, could an MVP maybe be like something designed like a prototype in Figma where you could actually interact with the app, but not actually like developing it, like, so like the first stage of it.
Absolutely. Do not build a full app. Do not waste that much.
You're exactly right, Alia. That's exactly the idea. 100%. It's creating something that's not costing you, like that you're able to then figure out like its usability and like the market for it.
Yeah, the speakers next week actually, to launch the business they're currently in, they slid the paper surveys like with like a link to a survey under people's door in their building to test that people wanted. They had a Google thing set up, and they did it. They used a Google Drive. They did a survey, and that's how they started their MVP for the company they built right now.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll talk about lean MVP. Yeah. Anyone else?
Great question.
If we have questions for you two, could we grab your emails possibly? Do
We
one
have
on
our
one.
emails.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, is it-
again, like, so our emails are, we're CC'd in all these emails. So Oz is sending out to you, but he's always CCing Peter and myself in those emails.
Gotcha.
So you should have our emails.
Yep.
And on that note, can I mention also, if you've never received an email from us in the past, can you please put your email in the chat? That would be great.
So yeah, so as we said, we'll have 3 sessions this semester, and then 4 sessions next semester. We'll have a big break over winter break where you guys will do a lot of research. This semester is going to focus on building the idea to pitch to your potential customers, and next semester is going to be building the idea to pitch to potential investors. Anyone else?
So for my case, it's like to build a studio. So can I like just build a website?
Sure. I mean, however, this is, you're going to figure it out as you do your research from your customers. You're going to figure out what they want.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Have there been students in the past that have like taken an idea from the Ignition Lab and actually like launched their startup?
Yep.
So the winner of I love your question, the winner of the very first Ignition Lab ever, which was like 5 years ago, Catherine, actually launched it started out as a women's clothing line, sustainable. It's like she was very big, like a lot of
Seaweed underwear.
Well, no, it pivoted into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was that, and then after a couple of years, she realized that then her competition, so she pivoted. So she was doing well. She was selling out of slips, was like the main seller. And then all of a sudden, when things like Rent the Runway and everything started dominating the market, she pivoted to undergarments because you're not going to rent undergarments, right? And so it's interesting to learn about like, oh, okay, this is the way things are going. Innovations are now getting me out of that market. How can I adapt?
Yeah. And just from my experience at Pratt, I've helped, I don't know, 10 or 15 projects get fully funded, and we've launched 3 businesses out of different classes I've run. So it's not doable. You just met Sean, who literally launched a business with the money he raised in my class.
So the thing is, yes, it does do that. We also have people that use this idea and then went and pitched to Google. And so about a widget, we've had people that like created, so the mushroom thing reminded me, one of the winners created something out of sugarcane. It's sustainable toys that then once the child is older, you bury it together. So it's like this lesson of sustainability. So there's all these cool examples like that of people that then you know, they're moving with it. We want to actually build a community too. Like, think of some kind of alumni thing, since we have 5 years of this now, and the people are just absolutely amazing that go through this program. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. But the other thing is, it's also about learning the process, so that even if you end up totally changing your idea, or you end up like not going through with it, you go away with, you just got up and actually pitched in front of someone else. You went through the sessions, you like got to know these speakers and learn all these valuable lessons that you might apply 5 years from now, you know, if you want to use it. So it's a program that's made for both bringing to market, if that's what you want to do, or just like really learning what it takes.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other questions? All right, guys, we will see you in 3 weeks. We are so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for your time today. And, you know, feel free to reach out to Carl and I, and this is awesome. Carl?
Yeah, so I'll put my email just in case someone doesn't have it for whatever reason. It's, you know, cthangler@pratt.edu. So it's in there now. So just in case, if you're like, I'm not sure if I got that, now you got it. You know, feel free to email me with some questions. And then Peter and Oz, do you mind just staying on just for like literally like 2 minutes? And thank you, everyone. Congratulations. You made it through the first session. It was awesome. I loved your engagement. I loved your questions and enthusiasm and appreciation. Appreciation is the most underutilized resource. Your appreciation is also appreciated.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate you having us. Have a good night. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's see, Peter, how do I stop recording this? Oh, I just pressed the stop thing, right?
Yeah, I can do it.